Hello, everybody.
Okay.
We're back. They thought they could keep us down, but we have clawed ourselves out from the grave of COVID and me moving to a different country
Oh, they meaning
to
COVID. I get it now.
to bring to bring another tale from Miniry Village. Hello, my name is Thomas. I'll be the narrator today, and here are my amazing players. Say hello, amazing players.
Hello.
Hey, it's been a
Hi.
while.
Very unfortunately, down one Katie today. She will be very much missed, but the show must go on because we have delayed for far, far too long. So let's dive right in with a very quick recap into the current story. There's a lot going on in Miniry right now, but if you're catching us for the very first time, all you need to know is this. The Action Committee, who are our players before you, are members of the Miniry Village Council. They deal with odd problems here and there. The most recent one being that a courier just barged into the council chambers and informed them that a nearby village by the name of Kyor has nobody there. It has become a ghost town, and this courier, his name's Alzani, he came in, informed you about the situation, which you all decided to mount up as soon as you could and get over to Kyor to see what on earth is going on. Is it an attack? Is it some strange arcana gone afoul? Who knows? But you blazed off down the roads to investigate. Everybody on horses, save for Rami, who is riding her horse-sized peacock, which is a thing she has, called Fred.
Oh, wait, I'm actually riding Fred. I thought we were training him how to ride, and he was in the back while...
That's right. Thank you for reminding me. Yes, you basically have a rope around him, just helping him understand, stay on the road, follow these big, not peacock horses.
Soon I'll be able to ride on a horse-sized
If you keep rolling as well as you've been rolling, it won't be long before this thing is doing whatever you tell it. But yes, you arrived in the village of Kyor. It is still early in the morning. It is a cold winter's day. Just to remind you, it is kind of built on a series of man-made steps that allow for kind of like stretches of farmland in the middle of this very wild natural forest area. And when you arrived, you did a quick investigation at a farmhouse. You found no trace of human life, but plenty of domesticated animals, including a little kitten that you kind of picked up and took with you. And then when you reached kind of the summit, the top of Kyor, the highest step, as it were most of the buildings are, that's when you discovered that the entire town seems to have been transformed into kittens. And there are currently hundreds of kittens running amok in this village, completely with no supervision of any kind. They are currently eating everything that's been left behind at the market because nobody's there to stop them. And very briefly after you made this discovery, you saw that there was a Rycat, which is to say a magical psychic-powered large cat that was standing nearby, seemed to notice all of you arrive. And moments later, most of you got turned into kittens. Except for Blue, Raven Raiden, and Val, who will be probably a bit stunned into silence for a little bit. So we're going to take off exactly where we left off, but I do have one very quick question first. What did you do with the horses? Did you leave
tied them down somewhere.
Did you kind of tie them down at the farmhouse that you went to?
That seems like the most
I
likely
hope
place.
so.
I think we were like
Okay.
riding
That
around.
seems
Yeah.
like a good idea. I'm
I just
scared.
wanted to know if they are with you or not. And it seems like you tied them up before heading to the summit of this village. Excellent. That's just something I need to know for no reason. Don't worry about it.
Not worried.
I just got my giant peacock now!
So you're currently in the middle of a big market square. It's surrounded by all these buildings that kind of have a little bit of snow on their rooftops. There is sort of this reddish earth everywhere. It's kind of the natural color of the earth that's kind of built into these steps. Hundreds of kittens, all sorts of colors, all very small and adorable, all getting very fat and sleepy off of all the food that they're eating. Blue, you see that Micah and Rami just immediately turn to kittens before your eyes. Val manages to shake off such an effect.
Along with Regard as well.
Oh, I'm sorry. Rickard, the Arcana advisor on the council, came with you, and he is also now a kitten with the softest, most luxurious kitten fur
Great.
that you have ever seen. Yeah, and so what you see, Blue, is that on a nearby rooftop of a one-story building, there stands this big, dark Rycat with these emerald green eyes and a fresh, sort of long cut mark across the face, and she looks at you and kind of cocks her head. What do you do?
I'm sorry, did you turn all of these people into cats? Is that what I'm understanding right now? You did turn these people into cats?
She turns her head ever so slightly towards Val, and you hear psychically, "Not all of them. So I suppose we'll have to move on to different methods." And then the cat's eyes erupt with a green flame.
Well, let's remain calm here. There's no need to turn more people into cats or start any
You
sort of
feel
violence.
a sudden heat in the atmosphere around you, as does Val, and then suddenly there is an ignition of this green flame that shoots out from the ground, completely enveloping Val in a sort of cone, a hollow cylinder of fire. And you can see that she starts immediately panicking and just drops to her knees. Clearly something is very wrong.
I will reduce fire with my cold shaping.
Excellent. Please
Yes.
roll to reduce fire. First roll of the night. Let's see how it goes.
That's not great.
What did you get?
I got an 11 plus 2. So I guess it's alright. It's, what's the 11? 13.
13. So yeah, you attempt to use your cold shaping that allows you to reduce the effects of fire. As you attempt to do this, you can feel that there is some unnatural resistance coming from the fire. You feel like it is directly controlled by this Rycat, and that she has overpowered you in this moment.
Can you please not do... I'm gonna attempt to frostbite her in an effort to stop her from doing this. I'm so sorry. You look like he really doesn't want to hurt
It also
anyone.
looks like you need to very quickly roll fatigue
Yes,
for your
which
last
is
spell.
willpower, right?
Yes, willpower. While you're doing that, hey, Cat Micah and Kitten Rabby, what are you doing? Just to give you some frame of reference, you're currently kittens. Micah and Rabby do not exist in your mind. Your hunger does. Basic urges. Beyond that, you're adorable kittens. What are you doing?
Ricard's really fluffy, so I'm gonna jump on him.
You jump on him. He kind of stoically stands there, gets a bit of a grumpy cat face as you go about your business. What about you, Micah?
I go and hide under like the nearest like market stall and
Oh, I would love for you to make a stealth check.
okay, let's see
Just
how
gonna roll-
to do this.
So you're going to roll your dexterity, and then add any stealth focuses that you have, and you're going to add an additional +1 to this because you are a dexterous little kitten.
Aww.
Oh,
God, I love
cute.
being a cat. Okay, I rolled. Oh goodness. 8.
He rolls a 14.
Plus 1, so it's 15.
15, which is an extremely good roll. So you immediately just dart away. As soon as the flames start going up and these two riders suddenly face down like this elemental battle they're having, you just nope right out of there, scurry across the red dirt. There's like some overturned carts, and you can immediately dive underneath one, and you can see there's about 5 other kittens just sharing this space with you in the darkness, and just kind of meow.
Aww.
That's really sad.
I love kittens.
Meanwhile, Blue, what did you get for your frostbite attack?
I got a 15 plus 2, so 17. Nice.
That is going to hit.
Also, I think I got talent? Yeah, there's a bunch of talent. Not talent, the one
Stunt
thing.
points?
Stunt points, yes.
You got 5 stunt points from that, so you can enhance your Arcana in some way if you would like to.
Oh dear.
Which
Disrupt
brings us back
Arcana.
to remembering how to do Arcana.
I will use Disrupt Arcana so
Okay.
that I can roll an Intelligence Arcane Lore check versus an Arcane total. 1 Arcanum success removes the effect. So get Well, would I have to remove the effect on Val, or could I disrupt her Arcana by...
It's being done by the cat, so I would say this is perfectly appropriate.
Okay, cool. I will roll damage for that. I think it's
I think it's I don't remember.
like 2d6 plus or something.
I don't think it's plus anything.
Not plus. I'm sorry.
Okay, why don't I look it up while you tell me exactly what it looks like when Blue does a frostbite on this cat?
Okay, so he sort of like has a similar way of controlling his element like she does, where he is enveloped by like an icy cold, and from his wings like little snowflakes seem to fall, and like a bolt of ice will fly towards her from him.
Lovely. And that ball of ice kind of definitely hits her. You can see that she's got some pretty good defenses in terms of speed. So you're only going to do 1d6 of damage there. It's per point of outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Or put 2 points of outcome, rather.
1d6, so that's 2 damage, and I need to make
another fatigue check.
And I just make it. Nice.
Nice. Great work.
But I also will disrupt her Arcana, so that's intelligence. I do not have arcane lore, so it's just going to be...
Okay, so the two of you grapple for control over the Arcana, the forces of Arcana in this area, which, as you're doing this, you can feel a very intense sense of the flow of Arcana that you're used to is heavily stacked against you. It's like there's an anchor weighing you down, and indeed the entire area down.
Mm-hmm.
So what did you get?
I got adding 11.
Yeah, 11. And that's against they roll the same thing?
Yeah, I believe. So they roll an arcane test, whatever that would be. So I imagine it's intelligence as well.
Yeah. So she rolled hers, and unfortunately it does not, your disruption does not have the potency necessary to overcome her raw power. And in fact, in the attempt, it's like you're trying to hold up some kind of sheet to block a torrent of water coming through. And as you do, you just feel a tidal wave come from above and just smash down upon you. It is overwhelming. And it is, you can easily tell this is far above and beyond what a typical Raiden should do. So either she is some sort of Raiden arch, adept who has been focusing on this craft for a long time, or there's something else going on here.
Can I attempt to perceive like what may be going on? Like at this point, I'm assuming that she has some sort of corruption or artifact on her.
Sure.
Do I see anything?
You can make a seeing or searching check to see if you notice anything out of the ordinary. And as you're kind of like taking this moment, this pause between you two trying to size her up, she says to you, "You betray your own kind. Why?"
I betray no one. I was given this position to help unite our kinds by a unicorn.
She kind of like takes that information and says, "There can be no unity. Not like this. Not for what they do, what they have done." What did you get for your perception?
That is a 9.
A 9, okay. So a quick kind of cursory glance at her. Usually Raiden have some kind of adornments on them to kind of denote themselves from regular animals. You don't really see anything about this Raikat that leaps out to you as unusual. The sort of look in her eyes and the sort of arcana that is clearly just raw arcana radiating from her is very unusual. But you don't immediately identify any kind of corruption or anything like that. And here, for the lot of you at the very least, is a picture of who you see.
Ooh, it's like a glowing green cat thing.
Yes.
She's very pretty.
She's spooky.
Very spooky, but very pretty.
And eventually, finally, the flames around Val stop. They just kind of sink back into the earth again, and Val is just hyperventilating. And this is, being encased in fire is pretty awful.
Yes.
You can at least perceive that this is an extreme adverse reaction to what just happened, which, It's probably it sounds a bit unfair for me to say, but what I'm trying to convey is that she is freaking out so terribly from these flames being near her, and she doesn't seem like she's sort of snapping back to it.
Okay. Can you please just like calm down and try and talk about this? Like, why are you doing this to these people?
This is no less than they deserve.
Can I learn why, please? Because this is literal lunacy. You're turning people. This is just wrong. They're I can't imagine what they must have done to you. I assume it has something to do with that cut that's on your face.
She kind of
Are you all
grimaces
right?
when you mention it. She quickly tries to deflect the question and says, I remember you. You were there at the Sky Galloper shrine when the forces of Kern attacked.
You were there?
I was.
Not that
You know exactly what happens when we put our trust into these folk. You've seen it firsthand. Do you remember?
Yes.
Or have
I
you forgotten
remember.
the terror that they brought? The carnage.
These are different people. I've lived among them for a while now, and they're very different from them. And
The
trust
fact
me,
that you think that
I've
only
paid
means that you have
attention.
been tricked.
Or it means that everyone's different, and not everyone can be judged by the actions of others.
Where are you right now? Are you fluttering? Are you standing on something?
I'm still near Val. I'm like fluttering next to Val.
Okay. Then the Rycat leaps down and starts bounding towards you. And she says, do you not remember what happened that day? How many of our kind fell? Has it just slipped your mind? Tell me what that day was like for you. I would hear it.
It was probably the worst day of my life.
Yes.
It was a lot, but it's something I'm willing to move past so that something like that never happens again.
Then you've done a poor job because something like that has already happened again. Meanwhile, kittens, what are you both up to? You don't necessarily have to be up to anything new.
I think Rami's kind of a dumb kitten. She's seeing a bunch of people running away and she's like, this is fun, and it's just jumping on literally everyone, trying to avoid the fight, and it's just generally sowing chaos among the kitten society.
Love it. So I imagine like when this Rycat comes down to sort of talk to Blue even closer, a lot of the kittens sort of scrambling out the way and you just kind of look, don't really care that much.
Yeah.
Suddenly you've got a posse.
Like, people are running, that's fun, I'm gonna chase them. Jump on someone, stop them from running, jump on someone else.
Love it. What about you,
So
Micah?
cute. I'm probably in a small territorial dispute over this hiding spot.
You can hear underneath a nearby car this.
Exactly.
Are you winning or are you losing?
I'm losing very bad.
Oh no! You're getting pushed out. Love it. So Blue, I would love for you to take a trip to the past with me for a moment and go back to the Sky Galloper Shrine. This was a place that you went to not long ago because you heard it was a bastion kind of knowledge of things that you could learn. Was there any other reason that you found yourself going there?
Well, I had previously met a very lovely griffin named Laura, and they sort of invited me to go there, and I thought it'd just be a really lovely thing to do. I traveled there with Tessic, and I learned a lot from the griffins who lived there.
Yeah. Tessic refused to let you go alone because he was sure you would find yourself in some kind of trouble, though him tagging along did mean that your journey took far longer because he cannot fly and you can.
Yes.
Yeah, when you arrived at the Sky Galloper shrine, it was a large sort of temple built high into the eastern Icebinder Mountains, and you understood it from what Lara said to you. It was a place where Raiden and Vata An kind of coexisted in a sort of monastic sense. It was sort of a place to seek enlightenment and store knowledge that was very important and secret to the Weald. Many Vata An kind of had their calling that drew them there, but there was no other kind of folk around who weren't Raiden. And when you arrived, you noticed that clearly the place was shaped by some kind of magic. It did not hold those typical folk architecture things that you so often saw when you visited other human and others places. It was very kind of practical, and there weren't any doors because most Raiden can't operate doors. So it was a very free-flowing, kind of cold place. And yeah, it was a place like this that is protected by sort of very intense arcana to keep it hidden, because naturally it is a repository for knowledge that should not go into the wrong hands. But it wasn't long that you were staying there that the Kernish sort of death brigade showed up to do what was basically an extremely ruthless slaughter of the place and to tear the place down and occupy it for their own means. And of course, in this time, well, let's take it from the beginning. You remember that it was a clear day on that mountaintop, and then instantaneously it wasn't. A blizzard appeared literally out of nowhere, darkening the skies and bringing freezing winds with them. And you can see, you remember the sight of the griffins flying in the sky suddenly find themselves unable to really have any kind of control in the freezing winds that they were dealing with. And then you remember seeing the other figures up in the sky, the Knights of the Skull, as they are known in Kern, riding their sort of creatures twisted from the dark arts of flesh shaping. They seemed to have no problem in the winds nor the cold, and they were very quick to start heaving down giant frost lances that slammed into the ground and into your fellow Raiden. And shortly after that, they exploded into ice shards, only spreading the destruction and devastation further. So, Blue, in this memory, you are currently standing sort of on one of the large balcony edges that looks over sort of the beauty and enormity of the Weald, which is now obscured by the blizzard that has come in. What are you doing?
Blue would be sort of like at a loss. He wouldn't know what to do. He'd probably be looking for some sign of like safety, somewhere to be that he can like help others, or like find someone who can help others.
Yeah. And usually for a situation like this, your greatest boon is typically being able to just fly vertically upwards and use your maneuverability to deal with any kind of situation. Here, however, you raise about 10 feet off the ground and suddenly you feel a complete loss of control, and you feel like you are being you're at the storm's mercy, just being hurled around. You think only by the grace of your small stature are you not being hit by the various frost lances being thrown by these skull knights, and you are completely disoriented. You slam into the stone brickwork of this sanctuary, and you can hear the sound of Raiden crying out in pain as they are being taken out one by one by these invaders. And suddenly you see a large force of them landing, dismounting their terrible winged beasts, and moving in with swords and maces and axes, ready to cleave their way into the shrine itself. you feel utterly alone because you see anytime any Raiden goes up to try and stop one of these people, they are very quickly either rebuffed or put to the blade.
So I hit a stone wall. How many people are how many Raidens rather are still out here and alive and able to be maybe helped, and how many are just retreating back into the fortress or building?
As far as you can tell, the knights are basically cleaving a path into the heart of the sanctuary. So any Raiden that comes at them, they are quickly dispatched, but not necessarily finished off in this moment. And they are also wielding this dark arcana as well, that either immobilizes some of the Raiden or otherwise just scatters them to the wind. So you can see there's about 10 or so Raiden up here of various, let's say, power levels, because they're of different sizes and specialities as well. Yeah, and you note that there are very few Griffins around, which are meant to be basically the Raiden's best and most capable fighters.
Mm-hmm. I will. I'm probably gonna call to Tessic and see where he is, and start myself trying to I can't really fly, so I'm gonna try and hop and walk over to the sanctuary the best I can while calling to Tessic, seeing where he is.
Yeah, you feel an ice chill on your tiny little feet as you're hopping along. And you call out to Tessic using your psychic bond, and he very quickly responds to you just with absolute fear. You've always known Tessic as kind of a sort of braggadocious type, and now faced with this very scary reality, he is shutting down in a way that you've never really seen before, and it sounds like he is just sort of curled up, desperately trying to hide, and just calling out your name again and again. Blue, where are you? What's going on? Where?
Blue probably try and calm him down. Tessic, it's all right. We're gonna be fine. Just let me know where you are. Where are you?
And you suddenly hear an ear-piercing screech that just hits you like a wall of force, and you find yourself knocked unconscious. And in the sort of faltering moments of you waking up from this unconsciousness, your eyes sort of flutter open. You can see around that whatever the Skull Knights came here to do, they seem to have achieved something, because there is a number of them just going around, looking at the Raiden on the ground and ensuring that their pain is brought to an end. And as you see, there's just an aura of utter terror surrounding one of these sort of black steel, skull-masked faced, sort of 6 foot tall soldiers just stepping towards you. You can hear the sound of just their metal boots just scraping on the ground, and you hear the occasional meaty thwack from around you as more and more Raiden are dispatched. And as this person gets close to you, what are you doing?
Gosh, I don't. He still can't fly, right? The winds are still. He's backing away the best he can.
You find yourself unable to move.
Can I cast magics? No. I'm probably pleading with him, why are you doing this? What have we done to you? What is this for?
Yeah. So you send out those psychic messages. Oh, actually, no, you can talk.
I can speak, yeah.
You can speak. Even though you are speaking out loud, it gives the Skull Knight walking towards you no hesitation. And they get close to you, raise their blade, and then you see a blur of feathers as your Griffin friend, with a big ice lance sticking out of his hide, he appears with a thunderous slam into this Skull Knight and sends him reeling off to the side. And then Lara, this Griffin, turns to you and he says, "Blue, you have to get out of here. You have to tell them what happened. Go now."
I can't leave. What about you? What about Tessic?
And and what's more, you still actually kind of feel, you still can't move really, you're still a bit paralyzed. And he says to you, "It's over, Blue. We have to recover best we can from this. Now, rise!" And with that kind of spoken command, you feel the ability returning to your muscles and bones. And with what vigor you have, what do you do?
I will begin to fly towards the down the mountain, towards the Weald.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd probably like stop and like turn back just to like look and like reassure myself that this is the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Do I see Tessic anywhere? What does Laura
Make
look like he's
a
doing?
perception check of the past to see what you see.
The
It can
past
be
perception.
really any kind of perception as long as it's not tasting.
Okay. Any kind? I have psychic. Can I try psychic?
You know what? Yeah, that's not how it works, but let's do it.
Cool. I'm gonna sense his psyche. Total 17.
Holy cow. So this isn't a thing you can do. I've now decreed that this is the thing you can do. Because your bond with Tessic, you don't have a traditional Rye bond, as it were, with the two-legged folk that you're well aware of. But you and Tessic, you've grown up together. You've had each other's backs for the longest time. A very Timon and Pumbaa kind of relationship. And yeah, it seems it's just there's too much horror and too much pain happening in this place for you to simply leave without him, without even just a moment spared to see if he can be nearby and he can be helped before resigned to this fate. And through his psychic presence, you can sense that he is he has managed to find a way to claw himself up onto one of the sort of wall areas, onto a rooftop.
Mm-hmm.
And as you kind of flutter away out of sort of this courtyard that you're in, past the walls, now looking at the shrine itself, you can feel his presence just right up there. And if you stick close to the wall, maybe you can flutter up there.
I will. Yes, I will. I will go to him before. Oh man, I feel bad. I will go to him before I leave, and just to reassure him, like I will be back. I have to go. Laura is hurt. You're hurt. Everyone's hurt. I have to go. I will be back.
And Tessic says, "I can't stay here, Blue. I can't. They're coming for all of us, don't you see?" And he starts just furiously looking around. You can see, by the way, that there's kind of a bit of frost burn on bits of his back. His hackles are raised. He's clearly very distressed, and he sort of just looks desperately for a way out of this situation and just takes a leap of faith off the edge of this building and starts falling and starts tumbling down a sheer cliffside, and you can see that it's going quite badly for him.
I immediately go down to try and help him, and
Okay.
I'm probably going to use move object, like the creature one, but not in a way that hurts him. I just want to catch him.
Yes, understood. You want to catch him with some psychic energy. Go
Yes.
ahead and roll for that. This is based on his weight, I believe, and he
Yeah,
is a
that was
cat,
a
but a
9.
very large cat, so, how much does a small panther weigh? These are things I don't know.
Oh dear, probably more than.
More than a 9, unfortunately. So here's what
Yeah.
happens. You see Tessic, doesn't really quite land on all of his feet at once, as you've seen him do many times. He scrambles, the footing is very uneasy. He starts falling down this cliff, starts kind of getting burnt against the cliffside, desperately clawing and scrambling for a way to just stop the momentum from gaining. You can see one of his claws just kind of like breaks right off in his desperation, and you go to use your psychic power to kind of catch him, just to make sure that you can at least stop him from accelerating. But in that exact moment, you come at the exact same height of the place where you just left, and you can see that Lara is battling against about 3 of these Skull Knights. And as he kind of looks to you, hoping and pleading and praying that you are quickly going to take flight out of here, you can see that from behind he is taken down and falls to the ground in a bloody, frosty heap. And it's in that moment where you lost a dear friend of yours that unfortunately it was hard for you to really focus on the arcana, and Tessit just goes tumbling and tumbling and tumbling down this sheer cliffside. And we return to the present of your memories of that day. And this Rycat says to you, "My name is Vethra. I was there that day. I saw what they did. Did you see what they did?"
Yes, I saw far too much, far more than anyone should have to see.
But you didn't see everything.
What do you mean?
I awoke in the ruins, and I saw the devastation they had caused. There was a very loud noise, and I found myself unable to move. And I could see as they were taking out our brethren one by one. No mercy, no reason behind it, just brutal slaughter. And I saw that as some of them went outside, a few of them gathered with a Vata An, and they revealed that their spy had successfully infiltrated the shrine and had allowed them to find a place that had forever remained hidden until that day. We had fallen to the treachery of the folk.
So someone let them in?
They let them know where it was. The place was defended by arcana and illusions since its construction. And all of that was taken away by one act of treachery.
That can't.
Why don't you make an empathy test with your perception?
He's doubting that this is a thing.
So what's that? 14? 15? 14.
Yeah.
And 5 stun points if you would like to spend them.
Um,
You look deep into this Rykat's eyes, into Vethra's eyes, and there is a lot of burning anger there, unresolved. And it is very strong as she is telling this story. And when she gets to the part about the treachery itself, you can see that the anger is replaced by this mournful sorrow. And during those moments, there you can see that these sort of arcana, the raw arcana that is just kind of flitting off of her, recedes, and her eyes return to normal again. And during these moments, Ramicat and Mikecat, you get an opportunity to once again try and break free of your transformation. So go ahead and roll another willpower self-discipline test.
Okie dokes.
But Blue, you know, you were there that day. You know how much it really affected you. You know that nothing, this cat is saying to you rings hollow for you. There's a conviction there that you can't deny. So Rami, you and your cadre of kittens are kind of scurrying around. What's the most recent thing you're doing?
She's still just enjoying, pouncing people.
Love it.
Yeah. I think Ricard's her favorite because he's super fluffy.
Yes. Mid-pounce, you transform back into your Vata Shan shape and kind of just land in the dirt a little bit.
Ow! I think I ruined the dress.
And then suddenly you feel as there's kind of a bump underneath you, and Ricard, who is laying splayed out prone beneath you, also returns to his Vata form.
You could have done that earlier and at least broke my fall.
He says, "I apologize."
I did.
Micah, you unfortunately do not return from your kitten form. So what is going on with Micah Kitten?
She is, I guess, halfway in and out of from under the cart over a territorial dispute about a good hiding spot. And trying to stand her ground and fight her way through it with adorable kitten pats.
I like to imagine that even though you are a kitten, there is at least a modicum of your mighty strength that has been sort of transferred to your kitten body. So it takes about 5 other kittens just pushing and clawing at you to kind of hold you off because you are such a force to be reckoned with.
She's a strong kitten.
Excellent. Well, Blue, as you're getting your bearings, Rami, Blue, you can see that Vethra kind of looks to you slightly concerned, but not necessarily worried. And she says, "It seems my power is waning. But it will come back. I'll make it come back. And then this place will be pacified. Then the next village and the next village. And we will never be hurt by these folk ever again." And she dashes off away.
No, you can't do that. I fly towards her. Like, hopefully I can keep up.
Yeah,
I'm
you
gonna fly towards her
immediately after. So yeah, at this point, Rami, you can see that Blue is chasing after this Rycat.
I look at Ricard. We should probably do something.
He kind of like, you're still sitting on him a little bit,
Yeah.
and so he just says from the ground, he says, Val looks like she's in trouble. And
Why don't we help? Yes,
where's
I
Micah?
get up. Okay, you help Val because I'm not good with magic. Figure out what that is and I'll go find Micah.
Ricard turns to you and says, "I know absolutely nothing of healing magic, but I'll do my best to help her."
Well, isn't she surrounded by fire? Do you know anything about fire magic?
I know of fire magic, yes, but a cake cannot be unbaked.
I mean, sort of, you destroy
I'm
it.
wasting time. And he just turns around and walks towards Val. And he says, I realized I was wasting time.
Yes, okay.
And he's like, you're like, good job.
You wasted more time by I walk off to look for Micah.
Why don't you make a perception searching test to see if you can find Micah? And this will be fairly easy because
Isn't she
because
a
of the
green
circumstance.
Cat? Like, too? Is
Not
she-
really, no. It's
Okay.
more the color of her hair than the color of her skin. Yeah, it doesn't take you too long to locate Micah, which what it looks like is a very strong cat sort of battling against a line of other kittens who are fighting for some kind of territory, and it's kind of adorable.
I'll be watching it for as long as I do before I step in. This is a serious situation, but this is super adorable.
So let me take a moment to sort of just breathe in the cuteness of this moment. Blue, you are still chasing after Vethra, who is moving with very impressive speed. You think Tessica's probably gotten a little... he's slowed in his time in Miniry. You're not used to having to catch up to a Rycat like this. But you're both still able to communicate with each other because you both have psychic speaking that you can do to each other. And as she bounds off, sort of off of each step of this village towards the sort of closest patch of weald, what are you saying to her?
Can you please just talk about this? We were both there. We know the evils of sorcery. It's not just the people. It's the tool that they use to do it.
You are wrong. It is a tool, and it's a tool that many of them use to depraved ends, but it only builds upon what is already there. And she quickly turns around and kind of locks eyes with you, and sort of turns so you can see the cut, and she says, "I saw one of their hunters. He entered the inn of this place, making them all complicit. They killed our kind."
You saw another one of Karn's people here.
I don't know what affiliation they had. All I know is that they were not Raiden, and they took Raiden lives. I tracked them, and I found them. The bodies of Raiden I knew, of friends, butchered. Their hides taken. And then I tried to confront this person, and this is what I got for it. Tell me again that only sorcery makes them bad.
in this moment, Blue is probably really struggling. He looks like what she's saying makes a bit of sense. Like this was his mindset not too long ago. But...
It had like slowly softened over time because you found a place in the community of Miniry, and you found people who you genuinely liked and were good and honest people, and then this happened. So yeah, please do struggle.
You sound too happy about that. You're like, yeah, struggle, have fun.
Enjoy this pain.
She turns and starts to run away again.
I attempt to make like some sort of like the contact. I attempt to like form that bond so that at a later date I can try and talk to her, even if she's not there.
Sounds good. So that's going to be a psychic contact test, modified by familiarity. So let me just double check how that works. Here we go. So it's fair to say, oh, this is interesting actually, because well, I guess you never really met Vethra or knew of her existence until today. She just happened to be somebody that was there at the shrine with you. So this is going to be, you're casually familiar with this person.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, no. She's visible to the naked eye, which means you can do it with no modifier to familiarity. My apologies. So it's just going to be a test of 7.
Okay. Which one is that? Is that psychic communication?
It's psychic contact, which I believe is perception for you.
Perception?
Psychic.
Okay.
Which I think you're really good at.
I am very good at it.
That beats a 7. So yes, you reach out and try and establish psychic contact. Usually there's an opportunity for the recipient to try and defend against this, especially for Raiden. They have something called Psychic Shield that allows them to at least attempt to get those sort of intrusions out of their head. You can feel no real... she doesn't try to stop you. She seems to be accepting of your connection, but does not turn around, does not go back to speak with you. She keeps running, and in fact starts to run with a alarming speed.
I just let her go, and I begin to fly back to what I thought to be a re-emerging Rami and Rykard.
Yes. You fly back. Still kittens everywhere, but you can see that Rami and Ricard are back. Ricard is kind of taking care of Val. She does not seem okay, and Rami is just sort of ooh-ooing next to these kittens.
Picked up Micah at this point. I was
okay.
She's really cute as a kitten. Look at her little face, Blue.
Micah, how do you respond to being picked up? Usually you're the one doing the picking up.
Just like like when cats in the door, you picked up, they like twist like 5, 6 different directions per second.
No, bad, Micah, bad. We are gonna be quiet time now. Shh, shh. You're so adorable. You're so adorable.
So Blue, this is the scene that you return to.
I'm kind of conflicted because it's on this like a similar level to Raiden, where yes, she is an animal right now, but she is also a person.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's the proper way to be treating her, Rami. She's still Micah.
I mean, yes, but if I put her down, she's gonna run off and start another turf war among the kittens.
Well, okay, that's fair.
That's fair.
Hopefully she'll turn back like you two soon.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm getting scratched, so I'm at least trying. Ow, Micah! I'm at least trying to find the upside to the. Stop it!
You can get another roll, Micah. Excuse me, and you can add a +2 bonus to this as well.
For willpower self-discipline.
Yep.
Sounds good. Did that not load?
No, it did. You got 16 plus another 2, be 18.
Yeah. Okay.
So with that, you immediately transform back to your usual self, and Rami, you find the hefty weight of a fully grown night person, Micah, in your arms.
Crashed. Immediately collapses on the ground.
So the strangest sensation, Micah, you have this kind of like feeling of being very light and suddenly very heavy, then suddenly falling to the ground, and you don't know what's going on or where up is.
Yeah, no, she scrambles up really clumsily, like looking for her weapon, and just
There's like 2 cats on you as well.
What's going on? What the?
Micah, I think you broke me.
Oh, she's like sitting right on top of you. Oh, Sorry about that. I don't know how you got under there. What happened? Are we okay? Is everyone okay? Do we beat him? Can we go home now?
Off, please.
Oh, right. And she scrubs off, yeah.
This has been a terrible day.
She'll, like, pick you up as well and, like, pat the dust off of you, just, like, manhandling you a bit.
Yeah, unfortunately, like the red dust of this place really clings.
This dress is ruined. First, Ricard didn't catch my fall, and then you crushed me, and now I
You look
just have
over
this
to Ricard
terrible...
and see his entire back is just painted red with this dirt.
Well, I mean, the color complements your hair, so that's good.
What? This is not how you pop, Micah.
So did we beat him? Can we go home now? Are we done?
I don't know exactly what happened, but there's still a lot of kittens who are people, which I'm assuming is a problem.
Yes, it is a problem.
Blue, are you okay? You don't sound all right.
I'm fine for now. We should focus on these cat people and see if there's any way to solve this.
Okay.
Take a point of conviction, Blue. So yeah, you all find yourselves in the middle of this cat-transformed village with no real immediately obvious explanation as to what happened. Val was only the other witness who really saw Vethra and sort of acknowledged the thing she was doing. But unfortunately, right now, Val is a bit unresponsive. She seems to have receded into her mind a little bit as a way of coping from the fire. And I think, I'm not certain, and I feel really bad about saying this if I'm not correct, but I believe Val's pyophobia is not known to anybody, and I might be wrong about that.
I don't
It's
know.
not.
I don't know. I don't think she
no.
mentioned it.
She never told us about it.
So unfortunately, that means for the rest of you, this is a bit of a worrying situation because there's no real logical connection you can make of why she is like this right now. But she is down for the count at the moment, effectively.
Maybe Val hates kittens.
She
Who hates
seemed
kittens?
alright
What?
earlier.
Hold
This
on.
is-
Okay, what?
I don't understand it either. I think kittens are adorable, but
while you guys were kittens, she experienced some pretty violent fire magic from the cat who did this.
Okay, so, well, what do we do now?
I suppose we just comfort her
I mean,
for now.
I
She
mean,
seems pretty shaken up.
what do we do about everyone else being cats?
and who turned us in? I'm guessing, did Blue fill us? Are you gonna fill us in or no?
He has not said too much yet. He did mention that it was a cat, though. A cat did this. A rye cat.
So are we gonna go after the other Ray cat, or are we gonna stay here?
She's
I think
gone.
Ricard definitely speaks up that point because this is very unusual, and he says, "A Rycat did this. That's why. That's not a thing that Raiden do. I thought." And then he kind of looks to Micah and Rami and says, "Did I overstep something? Should I have? How did that? Was that okay?"
I think you were fine.
Yeah.
You were just stating your amount of knowledge. That's okay. Right, Blue?
Yeah, it's fine. It's not particularly a magic I'm very aware of. I assume that she had some sort of other means of doing all of this.
Ricard is very interested in this, and he kind of puts a hand to his chin. He says, "Fascinating. What kind of thing? What did you notice?"
Nothing that I could see.
So there's a Raiden out there with the power to change entire villages to cats. We have no idea why or how. And this, as far as I'm concerned, is completely unprecedented in any Raiden's capabilities I've heard about.
Would I know of any Raiden? Can a unicorn do this? Like the pinnacle of
Unicorn
Raiden
is very
magic?
powerful. The wheel is very powerful. No singular entity should be capable of A, this, and B, this multiple times in a row, as Vethra seemed to imply she would do once she recovers a little bit. You could tell, by the way, that her power was waning a bit at the end. That's why the most recently transformed were able to kind of break out of it. It seems like she is returning somewhere to either rest up or refill that magic juice, which is kind of a thing all you Arcana people do.
Yeah, I this might be a part of the same point of conviction, but would it be a different one? Because I know that she said like she's going somewhere to recover and that she can recover and that she will be doing this. Would this be a different point of conviction, not telling them this?
I kind of awarded that first one for just the general.
In general, okay, cool.
Being distrustful of this information. But yeah, Ricard looks around and he says, I am not aware of any way to undo this.
That's an issue. We can't.
I am not aware of any way to do this, and as such, the way to fix it is lost on me.
You've already stated that, Ricard. Thank you.
Oh,
would I know there is a magic that allows people to take on animal forms?
It is common enough knowledge for you as a Raiden especially to know that there is shaping magic, and often that shaping magic is for the elements, but there is a little sort of subsection of shaping called flesh shaping that allows the transformation of physical living matter beyond
Can that
plant
make
shaping.
Someone into a kitten though?
I think why isn't everybody here who wants to roll a intelligence test of the arcane to see if they see what they know?
Arcana lore?
Yes, Arcana lore. Perfect.
I don't know anything.
Yeah, I don't think I would know anything.
I might. Okay, let's.
You get a stun point and knock a kitten prone. And
I have the lore power, but I do not have the focus. Would I still get the lore bonus?
I think the lore power gives you a bonus to something you already have, which is your natural lore. So I don't think so.
Then that is
dang blue. So Rami, you got a 10, is that?
Yeah. Okay. All I know is I don't like flesh.
Well, it's interesting for you, Rami, because you have been shaped before. And I think you found it such an unpleasant experience that you definitely distanced yourself from knowing too much about it. Because I think anytime you thought about it, it was just like, no, I don't want to think about that anymore.
Yeah, it's just kind of like, I don't really like that memory. I don't really appreciate it. I don't want to go there. I avoid mirrors.
Yeah, you know in Kern it is a thing that is exploited heavily to make dark, horrible creatures and to also make spies and assassins seem to be people they are not.
But
so
do they become animals? I don't think I know anything about that. I just know that they change faces,
not heard of
right?
That. You have probably heard of shapeshifters, who are people who can combine flesh shaping with other kind of unique magic to get animalistic traits, but to just turn into a kitten is an insane feat.
Also, there's reversing age, which is a different kind of magic.
Yeah, that too. What do you get, Blue?
Got a 16.
16. Okay, so you would know that to change a person into a kitten, like to actually do it, to have to sort of rearrange their entire body like this, simply is not possible. It would take, months of special flesh shaping surgery to achieve, a very dramatic overhaul for a person. But still, in general, you need to be somewhat similar to how you were. There's only so much you can change. There is a bedrock, so to speak, that cannot be breached. So these kittens, it does not feel like flesh shaping were it not for the fact that you see them transformed before your eyes. And also, it was so quick as well. That was another thing that's just crazy.
I think at this point it is probably best to believe that she is using some sort of sorcery, or is harboring some sort of power to do this. I'm not sure what.
Here's a question for you, Blue. Do you believe that?
I don't think so. I don't think that she's like. I think she's has some artifact or like some place where she's getting this power from, but I don't think it's sorcery specific. Would we be able to like feel that? Can't we like sense that sort of corruption around us?
It's very variable, unfortunately. You know certain types, but there's also more insidious, harder to read ones. Why don't the rest of you make a perception empathy test on Blue?
Ooh.
Ooh.
That's a 9, so I don't think so.
Nine is perfectly good. Let me double check how 9s work in this game.
What's math? 6,
9 is
7,
easy. Never mind.
9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I think 15.
15. Okay, so for you, Micah, you look at Blue, like you find it hard enough to read non-night people, let alone Raiden. You got a long way to go. Rami, you on the other hand are a bit sharper when it comes to how people are feeling. You can see that there is turmoil in Blue, and that when he mentions that it is most likely, sorcery, you see he doesn't believe that himself, and that you can tell he's holding something back.
Blue, something is different about you after that encounter. You're acting different. Your whole demeanor has changed. Clearly, this has affected you, and I don't think it's the healthiest for us as a group, as a committee, to continue forward unless I know that you're okay right now.
It's all just a very jarring experience. To see Raiden do this and the amount of power that is being used, it just doesn't sit well with me.
Why would that cause you to cover for her then? Because you don't believe it's sorcery.
I want to not believe it's sorcery, maybe.
You don't sound convinced. That's all right. We can talk about this later. I think we probably need to move fast before she turns someone else into kittens.
You all suddenly start to smell smoke.
Or catch something on fire. That's fine.
Is there? Look around. Is there like
you can all make perception checks to try and figure out the source of this. If you do smelling, I'll give you a bonus. +2
Please
bonus.
don't burn the kittens. That's.
By the way, all the kittens have gorged themselves on what was left at the marketplace, and now many of them have just gone sideways and are just having a big nap with their bulbous bellies.
That's so cute.
They've all crashed after just eating everything they wanted.
Wow, you guys roll really high. So yes. Blue got a 21.
21.
Hello?
666 plus 6 stump points. So that, hey everybody, that's a 9 possible roll just there. So Blue, you turn your head 36 degrees and you immediately pinpoint the source of the smoke. I think it makes a little bit of sense because you are quite well attuned to fire and preventing fire. So maybe in the past you've just gotten so used to having to like put out fires places that you're just like, there it is.
There it is. I see it. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So you'll kind of scramble around. If you would like to spend those 6 stump points, feel free. Yeah.
Is it too far away to like magic it away?
It is, unfortunately, yeah.
Okay.
Blue kind of like darts off in a direction towards the smoke, and you follow him. Ricard kind of like gently like takes Val along as well. She's still basically unresponsive at this point. And you can see that a large building that has a big sign outside that says the top step, clearly an inn of some kind, a tavern. There is a little bit of smoke, not billowing, but sort of seeping out of this place.
You know what? This is not our town on fire. That's a plus for us.
I mean, okay, but
Yeah,
do,
plus,
do we help
I-
everyone in there, or can we run? Should we run? I mean, I'm okay
No, we
with
do
running.
not run! We are not going to let all the kittens end up burning to death, Micah!
yes, Blue has already headed into the building to try and
Wait, I
locate
did
the
finish
source
the
of the fire.
building.
Blue, there's no place for you to enter the building.
Is there not a window? Can we just break
Not
it?
an open window. You could break it, yes. But I'm saying for Blue, in his tiny, small bird form, there's not an open window for you to go into.
I'm gonna move objects and burst open the window. Or at least try to.
Okay. You do so. Roll for that.
Oh, very poorly.
You don't need a super high roll to open a window, so you just roll fatigue on that as well, and you should be good.
Sure thing.
Micah and Rami, what are you both doing?
Entering through the door.
Yeah, you just sort of operate a handle with your opposable thumb.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm just right behind Rami. I'm just like, yeah, no, doors are good.
Excellent. You open the door, bit of smoke comes out, you smell a lot of burning, a bit of heat as well, and it is very hazy inside, and it starts to sting your eyes. But all three of you are able to enter this tavern that is completely empty. Obviously, you don't see any people here. But it seems like there is a very large hearth that is set up in the very center of this place, kind of in a common room area, and there is a big cauldron of stew that is burning and bubbling over, and it has been left on for far too long on a fire that is way too big because nobody expected everybody to disappear anytime soon, and it was keeping it warm for the winter. So how do you all react?
We need to put it out.
I just chuck some
Yes.
dirt on it. That's how we put out fires.
Okay, you go outside, pick up some dirt, and go back inside.
Isn't it
throw some
snowing?
dirt. It's snowing a little
reduce
bit,
the
but nothing.
fire.
Okay.
There's some snow on the rooftops, but it hasn't snowed recently.
Okay.
Let's try it. If I can suppress, if not extinguish the flames.
Go for it. Blue starts the magic. Yes, that is sufficient to. It's sufficient to put this flame down to embers, effectively.
Another will check. Succeed. I'm using a lot of magic today.
Yeah, and you're not getting fatigued, which is great.
Nice job.
Seriously.
Yeah, so Blue dims the fires. The cauldron of stew is still going to keep roiling with the smoke for some time because it's going to keep cooking with the heat that is there.
Let's just
If I
pour
can
it out on the
use
ground.
my
like,
freeze water one to chill the liquid, if that's possible.
You sort of chuck an ice spike in there or something.
I have the thing freeze water.
You do.
Yes.
This is going to be quite hard because it is boiling liquid. Rami and Micah, do you just go to pick up like 2 edges of it and just
Yeah,
move
let's
it
just-
outside?
pick it up and dump it.
Yeah.
Blue, unfortunately, you do not succeed. You try and chill it, but the heat is far too strong. Micah and Rami, you lift this up. Why don't you both make a strength might test?
Okay.
Or rather, Micah, why don't you make it, and then we can say Rami is helping, giving you a +2.
Yes, let's do that. My -1 in strength is not necessary.
Maybe a
three,
+1 instead of a
might.
+2.
So that's 8.
Yeah, that's
10,
perfectly good. You lift it up, you heave it outside. There's a very kind of uneven balance of distributing the weight right now. But you both kind of like look at the cauldron and just chuck it. And it steams, it smokes, it is utterly, completely ruined, a real unfortunate waste of good food. But there's no longer anything burning in the inn.
That's good.
Great. That's good. Okay.
Blue, sorry.
Oh, I'm good.
Blue, you recall this is the place that Vethra said the supposed hunter was staying.
I'm not gonna find him because he's most definitely a cat now. But I'm gonna look around, see if there's any sign. I'm gonna second sense actually. Is there any
Okay.
sign of bad magic here? Is there She also said he killed a Raiden. I'm gonna look around and see if is there a large animal just dead here, or a small one, just any is there anything?
Yeah, go ahead and make your second sight test.
Okay.
So you want to sense for Arcana initially, and then just start looking around.
Yes.
Okay. You read no magic or Arcana in the area.
Okay. And I'm just looking around.
And is that a point of fatigue you just got?
It says none. There's no fatigue test.
You're right. Oh, but you were
Yeah.
reading for Arcane Signature, right?
Yeah. Oh, is that?
That's a 13
okay.
test.
Do I need to make a fatigue test, or is it just what the roll is?
You need to make a willpower test to beat 13.
Okay.
Otherwise get fatigued. Both of you notice that Blue is kind of on the warpath right now. Very liberal use of Arcana, which in general you kind of want to you want to take it a bit easy just in case, it overwhelms you. But he's not slowing down. Like, this bird is on a mission.
Blue, darling, we're a team, right? You don't have to do it all on yourself. It's wonderful that you're taking as much initiative as you are, but I'm worried you're going to run out.
And this is a point where you actually gain a point of fatigue.
Yeah, I'm actually. He looks tired
so yeah,
now.
it's like at that exact moment where kind of the weight of it all hits you.
Right. I'm sorry.
No, you don't have to apologize. Clearly, whatever happened is weighing on you a lot. Look, I know that it's difficult to talk about these kind of things, but I don't feel comfortable going further until I know that you are at least going to be stable enough to happen whatever happens next. And if that's going to be just giving you a second to breathe and take a breath and calm yourself, that's what we can do that. If that's going to be you needing to talk to someone, then I'm here, Micah's here, Ricard's here. He might be a good option because I don't know how much he gets out of conversations. Like, it's kind of like talking to a stone wall that occasionally...
Remy, be nice. Don't insult stone walls like that.
You besmirch stone walls by comparing them to Ricard. Get a point of conviction, Nebby, by the way.
Oh, I said me. I'm like, what?
Yes, your bond is protecting stone walls.
I will. I think I could just. Yeah, if I could just take a second.
Hey.
Why don't you also make your perception test to see if you find anything non-magical around?
Sure.
Okay. It's a bit difficult because of the haze of the smoke, so you actually got a -2 on this, but it didn't end up mattering in the end. You start kind of fluttering around the inn. The smoke is finally clearing a little bit. I imagine you've probably opened some windows to help facilitate making it a bit more you can exist in this place a little bit. But Blue, while you're doing that, Blue is just kind of like looking around for something. You're not sure what. You don't see anything that suggests like there are dead right in here. You don't find any like blood stains or anything like that. There is a very faint smell of sort of pungent wilderness, maybe. It's a little hard for you to pin down, but it sort of smells of the wheels a little bit. And you're able to follow it to a locked door in this place. One of the rooms. On the next floor.
Greatest nemesis, locked doors.
The last campaign, it was climbing anything, and this one, it's a door.
I think he's already tired, and he's just used so much magic today. He'd rather just. Grammy or Micah, would you mind opening this door for me?
I would be honored to let Micah do it.
What?
Thank you.
Okay. I opened this door.
It is locked. Katunk.
I kick open this door.
You want to smash this door down?
Get out. I don't know.
All right. Strength might test, please.
Cool.
Go,
Okay.
go! Break the door!
Boom! Off the hinges.
With 2 stun points, nice.
It's open.
If you want that door to do something, you can spend the 2 points to make it.
She'll just like awkwardly like, oh, I didn't mean to break it completely off the hit. Okay, she'll just like put the door to the side so it looks like the door's just open.
Yeah.
Micah, anytime you do something cool, you ruin it by acting all embarrassed and trying to fix it. Just relish in your victory against the...
And I don't know how much a door takes to like fix. You know how much money I
Who cares? It's so cool! Admire the fact you can rip open a door with your bare hands! Stop!
While this exchange is taking place, Blue, looking into the room, you can see that there is a a trunk at the end of a bed. There's a sort of small desk and a chair, and you see a bow leaned up against the wall with a big, heavy cloak draped over it as well.
Okay. Definitely Hunter's room. Going near the chest. I think he's also another great enemy of his, locked chest. He'll turn back to Micah. Micah, would you mind opening this for me as well?
Oh, okay, yeah, sure.
Just a quick checkup. Micah, are you cool with just, Blue asking these random things of you, or?
I really appreciate that they have not been axing.
I think she's just like, she notices that Blue is really upset, so I'm just like, you know what, I'll just help however I can. If it's just to break stuff, I can break stuff.
And honestly, you've probably seen, with greater respect to Rami, you've probably seen Rami meddle a lot, so maybe your response is to, what if I'm the one who doesn't, who kind of just lets there be room to breathe, sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So she's like, I don't know how to comfort people, but if they ask me to do something, I'll try to help.
But I can smash things.
I can smash things open.
Yeah, the chest is obliterated. What is that? That's a 30, that's a 19?
Yeah.
That would break a castle wall down.
I really think she could actually punch an ogre.
Like, honestly, the floorboards cave in a tiny bit as you just smash into this chest.
Oh, well,
oh dear.
Maybe don't step there, but it's open? There, what's inside?
You kind of like lift up the one hinge that remains, and just with the squeaky thing, it just collapses into pieces of broken wood.
Thank you.
Yes.
That was a bit obsessive, but I appreciate
in the trunk, you see a number of things. There is, well, you see thick blades, metal blades. You see claw traps and iron stakes to bang them into the ground with. You see arrows, and they have a stench of some kind of sickly poison on their tips. And right at the bottom, you notice that there is a sort of furry pelt.
Ew.
Generally, in the Weald, it is accepted that people, like Circle of Life, people have to eat. Hunting is okay. Is that
hunting is okay? Overhunting or hunting for strictly sport is very much not appreciated by the Raiden and the powers that command the Weald. Eating to survive is, an understood part of nature. Killing a Raiden is killing a person. It is the same as killing a human being in our real world.
And based on what she told me and based on what you have no reason to believe that this is just a normal animal. This is a Raiden that he...
Unfortunately, it's a bit hard to tell. Because Raiden fur and animal fur, for all their differences, for something as superficial as this, there's quite a lot of similarities. So there's no real way for you to 100% confirm that this is a Raiden pelt. But there's multiple.
Can't he just...
There's multiple?
There's multiple.
Yeah, wasn't there the ability of...
object read? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It fills you with a grim realization, that these pieces of people are now technically objects.
Maybe can Ricard do it? Do we have to make Blue do it?
Can Ricard do it? That's a very good question.
I don't want to give him that trauma if I don't have to. Also, I'm so sorry, Cindy. I didn't mean to interrupt you. You do have my sincere and utter apologies.
You're good.
Ricard's Arcana involves... Oh, I never... He's outside, by the way. So one of you has to kind of like go out and say, "Oi."
Fine. I feel like Rami can shout really loud. Mm-hmm. She'll just head at the down part of the stairs and just yell his name until he comes in.
At first, he doesn't come in. He just says, "Yes."
I say it again.
Yes. Can you hear me?
No, come in, Ricard.
Okay, and he starts walking inside. Make sure that Val is okay. And walks in, kind of makes his way up to the first floor that you're on.
Yes. Ricard, can you object read?
And that is an ability beyond my skill for now. I am working on it.
Okay, you can leave. Bye.
Hold on. I'm starting to understand exactly what I did. What did I just do there?
No, see, I was summoning you for a specific question. You answered the question, I'm worried about Val and I want you back with her.
I see. Sorry, I misunderstood.
No, you're doing absolutely nothing wrong. I am being a little curt because I'm stressed. Has nothing to do with you. This is a me problem.
That's understandable. Why do you need object? Doesn't Blue not know how to object read?
I was
do.
trying to spare him that, but it's okay.
He returns to Val.
I will object read the top pelt.
All right, make a object reading test. So your total is 16, is that? Am I reading that right?
Yes, I'm gonna add 5 onto it with the Arcana stuff points that or 4. I can add 4 on.
Ooh.
Actually, no, 5
4.
because I get +1.
Yes, from being an adept.
Yes.
So you got another 9 possible check, basically. So good job.
Thank you.
Focusing with all the power of the wheel and all of your sort of emotions that are sort of fighting in you right now, you basically strike a line down through the earth, peeling away at the material and kind of clawing at the history behind this thing. You gain near complete knowledge of a particular past event and everything involving it, so you can decide exactly where, when, and what you see involving this thing.
I would
You also
like
make
to
a fatigue
see.
test,
Yes,
which is going to be very hard because you rolled very well. I'm very sorry.
I rolled very, very well. I think that I'm
13.
pretty sure that fails. I don't think there's a stunt that can save me.
So now you are fatigue level 2.
Mhm.
You can't get rid of it until you take a 4-hour rest, and you can't fly very fast anymore, I'm afraid. But
Understandable.
you tunnel down and find the information you're looking for. What do you look for?
I would like to see if there was. I can only do one, right? Only one event.
A particular past event, it says, but
Okay.
you will see it with perfect clarity.
I really don't want to see like the death of this creature. I'd rather see if this creature had any sort of moment of awakening that a Raiden would.
Oh, interesting. That's lovely. I love that. You kind of maneuver past any moments of pain and sudden ends, and you go to something far more positive, which is the moment it awakened. And like you, this if this is indeed a Raiden, then like you, it will have had a moment where it became more than just an animal and achieved a level of intellect and arcane ability that allowed it to count itself among the Raiden. So you look back at the the creature whose pelt this is, and you dive and delve back in time, and you see a bear cub, and it is with its bear mother. It is sort of walking on a moss-covered log, desperately trying to keep balance. You see the mother looks a little bit concerned, just standing very still, making extra sure that this little cub doesn't fall off this log. And then there is just a moment where something it just smells in the moss seems like it has a story to tell. And you start to hear this story too, and it's a story of history. It's a story of the Raiden. It's a story of the wheel itself and its life and its beautiful, terrible cycle. And as this thing breathes in this scent that gives it this sudden clarity, it slowly raises its head with perfect balance on this log now, and just kind of looks around and blinks at its mother, and it suddenly kind of gets a degree of understanding that, oh, something is very different now. And that confirms that this is indeed the pelt of a rye bear.
Blue looks even more shaken than he was before.
He's also very tired. That took a
Yeah,
lot out of him.
and extremely tired.
Was it?
Yes, it would seem that this was a Raiden.
There's
What do you want us to do now then?
one other thing in this room that I forgot to mention. I'm
sorry
very
about
sorry.
that.
On the desk, there is a piece of parchment, a bit crumpled, that has some markings on it, and various sort of very poorly taken care of pages next to it as well.
I look at it. What does it say?
You see that the larger parchment is a very rudimentary map. It marks landmarks, none that you're necessarily familiar with because this isn't quite your territory, but you see the sort of very obvious profile of this stepped village that you're at right now, and you can see that this kind of maps the area around it, and you can see there are some places with big exits through them, some with circles around them, and there's one place that's marked, it simply says cat on it. And the other papers you have in your hand, they seem to be torn out pages from a book. They haven't been well taken care of at all. It's like they just were ripped out of a book and shoved into a pocket and kept there for a very long time. Reading it, kind of skimming over it, you see that it looks like some kind of academic entry on Raiden, and just, basic facts about them. Their sort of culture, their capabilities, their... what's the word? The things they go about doing, what is typical of a Raiden.
Habits?
Habits, yes, thank you. That is the word I was looking for.
So whoever this is like a complete psychopath.
Okay. Seeing that book, would like to tear it a lot. Just claw it away, tear it to shreds.
Yeah, as you do that, it just kind of like bear that moment of, oh, look
Wait,
at that.
no.
Oop.
Evidence. We can use that against them, and the court system was not destroy it. It's much better to preserve it.
Nothing. They're cats now, and nothing in this book can be used against them. It was used specifically against my people.
They're not going to be cats forever. We're going to have to fix this, and then that person is going to have to face their actions of what they did wrong, and don't you want to use this against them?
It seems like they're facing their actions right now.
What about everyone else? Everyone who hasn't done anything?
We can work to fix them, but this person... I don't want this to exist.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah, as you tear it up, Blue, it does... You can't help but think that this is knowledge. It is neutral. It is simply, information written down, and a person has taken it and used it for very, very bad ends. And it's kind of hitting home to you, that idea of, oh yeah, knowledge in the wrong hands can sometimes be very destructive.
Yes.
I'm not going to let you destroy the map, though, because we really can use that against them if it's not a cat.
You think, Blue, that if Vethra had an altercation with this person, that is likely where the altercation took place and where they would want to return to claim their prize.
Is the map not of this town, but of, the area in general?
Yeah. It's got a landmark for the village, but also several landmarks of the surrounding weald.
It's fine. Okay. The map can stay.
Thank you. Unless you really want to destroy it. And then I suggest we do it like a cool way, like burn it, because that's really fun and dramatic.
Put it in stew.
If you want, we can destroy the whole room, if that'll make you feel better.
I've done a good job of that already.
We don't have to tell anyone it was us.
It's fine. We can go. We can go.
Okay.
Is there some sort of what's the Raiden equivalent of letting the dead pass on properly? Like funeral rites.
Oh, funeral rites? Again, they're people, so they, but it's hard because it's a combination
it's return to nature type thing, just let them pass.
It's very much just, if they must be dead, at least, every part of their essence goes on to feed more life. And there is a beauty in that. And it's something that is truly, truly wonderful to distract from the pain of the loss.
Okay. I want to do more for them. but I don't know exactly how. Returning them to the wheel would probably be best.
Okay. How would you like to do that?
Micah, if you don't mind carrying your chest for a bit.
Not a
Jess is
problem.
ruined. Jess is in pieces. You can
Alright.
like make a sack out of like the bed sheet or something.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, this is the worst.
I have a purse.
Yeah.
We don't have to use an ugly bed sheet from a terrible person.
It's not. I mean, the person doesn't define the bed sheet, I guess. So. I don't know if your purse will fit every.
That's true.
Micah, if you don't mind, just the bed sheet's fine, as long as we get them back.
Are we going to the Weald now, or are we?
The wheel. Was the wheel like right over there? She ran into the wheel,
Yes.
or was that just? Oh, yeah, just like. It's right over
Okay.
there.
Oh, wow. Geography is not a strong suit of me, in general.
Basically, wherever you go, you are surrounded by the wheel, unless you go out to sea, or go on a very long journey.
Oh, okay. Sure, we can go to the Weald now. Do you just want to do it yourself? Because we're technically outsiders, and I don't know how you feel about us anymore.
No, you can come. You're good people.
I mean, I know, but we're also, people, so I don't know if it's a bit of an icky thing.
You were allowed in once. It shouldn't be a problem now, especially if we're
Okay.
paying our respects. It's okay.
Alright. So God, that's so depressing. It's like wrapping someone's body up in just a
Really
bed sheet.
sad.
Yeah, right.
This is really
As you,
sad.
As you take the bed sheet up, by the way, you hear the sound of a kitten recoiling that hides under the bed.
Hello.
There goes Cindy.
My God.
You say hello to the kitten, and it's kind of like nestled in the darkness. It's got these piercing yellow eyes, kind of staring at you.
I reach in and just pull it out, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess I'll roll an attack roll for a kitten.
No.
Does an 8 hit your defense?
I don't think so, actually.
Yeah, it tries to scratch at you, and you just immediately just rotate your hand and just pick it up by the scruff, and it's helpless in your hands. And it just hangs there, and you can't help it. Like, this is a very cute looking kitten. Bit stinky though.
Ew. Wait, is this the one?
I believe so.
Meow.
Don't act all cute.
Meow.
So, I mean, Blue,
Take the
would,
kitten.
would you like me to do it?
Do what?
I mean, it kind of destroyed your entire people. I wouldn't want it to.
No, it didn't destroy everyone, but also I'm not.
Maybe we should focus on proper justice channels. The village, we have positions in the council. They found out we're just taking matters into our own hand and killing people. That's gonna look negatively on Miniry. Now, if we weren't connected to the council, I'd say go for it. This guy's a piece of shit, but it's going to badly affect our town. So we can't just act with emotions here. We have to consider a little bit of logic too.
Yes, we also just can't leave essentially people to their own devices. Everyone could get hurt, and he should, or she should be watched.
Yes, take this one with us.
Speaking of which, you were reminded, Blue, that Vethra says she's gonna move right on and do this again as soon as she is able, which means the window to either confront or stop her is quickly narrowing.
Okay, and the nearest town is Miniry, isn't it?
It's Miniry, and there's another one. There's a few dotted around, actually. It's hard for you to tell where Vethra would go next.
She wouldn't go to Miniry, though, would she? Since this is a brand new area, I guess.
It's
Maybe.
impossible to know.
Um,
Unless Blue asks her.
I could just ask her right now. He's kind of been like thinking about that, but he's not sure like what to say.
Yeah. Now
For a
it's-
moment, he was like, "Okay, you're right. Everything you said was completely right." And now he's like, "Okay, no, I have to maintain some bit of conviction here."
So you've gathered the pelts.
Yes.
Are you going to leave the village, hope the kittens have a nice nap, and go into the wheel?
Oh, if the kittens are all kind of asleep, can we just like chuck them all into, I guess, the biggest building? Is there a town hall or something?
Yeah, you could.
You could just leave Val to watch the kittens.
The question
Val-
comes up of can you keep kittens in one place, and that's a lot of kittens. So many kittens.
I know it's
So
a lot
many-
of kittens, but I'm also
two.
thinking of just like predators in general.
That's that's not an unfair.
We could leave Val and her cart here, and they can be the kitten protectors. They'll be our kitten knights. The knights of the kittens.
I don't know if splitting up is the best idea, but I guess she's what is her name again? I totally forgot. I'm blanking.
Val?
No, the riot
Oh,
cat.
Bethra?
Vethra.
I'm
I
sorry.
don't know if Blue has even said her name yet.
Oh, okay.
No.
Oh,
You just know it as a right cat.
if the riot cat person thing is gonna like, they probably won't come back to at least this town, so it's probably safe.
There's
Just-
other things that eat kittens, though.
Yeah,
right?
that's what I'm trying to say.
And I doubt any town hall that we put them in is gonna be completely kitten-proof. They might just immediately go play with like the dining set knives. They're kittens.
Okay, well, yeah, you're not wrong. I don't know.
No,
I
you're
think our
having
best
good
bet here
suggestions.
is to leave Ricard and Val for now and see if we can find her. We have a map. We should probably get moving.
Okay.
I have a feeling that everything might be on the time frame here.
Okay, let's go.
It's also fair to point out that although the map shows where the hunter and Vethra had an altercation, it does not necessarily tell you where she's gone. It just might give you sort of a starting point. So, you inform Ricard and Val of your findings, I assume, or do you just kind of just tell them to stay and just go? How
No,
much do you really want to?
I think
We
like-
give them all the information, right?
Okay.
yeah, this is open information. Like, oh, this guy he
Yeah.
did this. He did some bad things. And now he's a cat. Please watch this cat and all the other cats, but especially this one.
Val is improved. She's able to speak once more, but she is clearly very shaken. And although she does not want you all to go off on your own, she understands that it's best for her and Ricard to. Somebody has to look after these things.
You guys got this. You're both extremely smart and capable people.
Yes.
That's it.
Ricard
I
just-
don't have any more nice things to say. I mean, I can go on if you want.
You could see Ricard was kind of waiting for the rest, and then it never came. And then he just looks confused, and he has to recalculate a whole bunch of things, just like.
And you also have great hair, Ricard. Do you want more compliments?
I wish I knew why my hair offended you so.
Just say thank you, Ricard.
Thank you, Ricard.
Perfect.
Oh dear.
I see what I did. That was very
Yes.
foolish of me. I made it.
No, you're doing great, buddy. You both are
Doing
great.
fine.
We will look after the kittens as best we can.
The kitten knights. The knight of the kittens.
Anyway. Shall we?
Here we go.
Okay, off you go. Going down the winding switchback that takes you from the top of this village to the bottom near a lot of the farms, and you start heading into the untamed areas of the Weald. And you're going to basically go exactly where this altercation was. Is that the plan?
If I feel like there'd be like places where like Ryan can just like sense like, oh, this is a nice. There's a nice energy here. Wherever that is, that's where I would like to like lay the pelts and like
Mhm.
probably say a few words. Apologize that this has happened to them. and from there, then yeah, moving on to where
Sounds
they're at.
good. Yeah, it takes you a little bit to kind of like find that unspoken area you're thinking of, and for the rest of you following, like there's no rhyme or reason to it, and that's kind of the point. Eventually, Blue, you find a place where you just know this is a good spot, and you conduct the appropriate ceremony. It's not.
Mhm.
It's a bit of a generous word to call it, but yeah. Once you've done that work, you're able to move on.
Yeah, I think actually a nice thing to do would like kind of give them a burial sort of thing, but like through interweaving plants over them, like
Oh
covering
yeah,
the
using your
top-
plant shaping.
yeah, to like cover the
Love it.
yeah.
Now, does plant shaping trigger fatigue?
Let's see.
Hate to be a
let's see.
stickler.
No, it's
Oh,
magic.
A
Let's see.
decent burial costing you so much, but
Yeah, it's a fatigue test of 11.
you
Let's see.
succeeded. So let's take that roll.
Okay, cool.
Oh no,
Thanks.
sorry, it's rolled separately. My I didn't.
Yes, it is.
Get your hopes
Okay, I
up.
thought we were doing it.
Oh, you just made it. That's
I just made it.
that's
There we
11.
You
go.
did just make it. Oh, thank God, because level
It-
3 fatigue is brutal. So that's good. Okay, yeah, you conduct their, I don't know if Raiden believe in souls, but you allow them to return to the Weald once again, where reincarnation is a thing in this universe.
Mhm.
They will live again, and you hope that in the next life it is filled with more joy and less sudden pain.
Yeah, I would like go to the primordials and say, may they bless your path. Raiden writes, I don't know, like the full religious words, but the primordials.
It's very much sensations and emotions experienced rather than what you encountered with the two legs of like so many things they have to say and read, and they have to stand certain ways and ring
Mhm.
certain things. It's like you just connect. That's all
Just
you
let
need to do.
nature be. Just
Yeah.
cycle of life. Like, okay.
Yeah. So you weave the plants over the things. I'm going to give you a point of conviction, even though your calling wasn't necessarily invoked, but I think it's just a very appropriate moment for you to gain it.
Thank you.
So what now?
I look
Onward?
Onward. Do you know which direction you want us to go, Blue?
From here, let me just reorient myself, looking around, seeing where the village was, and where this cat marking is. I'll try and point us in that direction.
Okay.
Yeah. Was there something you were going to say, Micah?
I was gonna say, we do know where she's going next, or we don't know where the right cat's going next?
You don't know. This is basically the last known location. Blue could potentially talk to her to try and find more precise information, or you could go to this last known location and try and sort of figure it out from there.
Okay. I mean, have you tried talking to her again? Maybe since you guys seem to have a bit of a history, you can consider to stop or calm down, or I guess you already did that. I wasn't there for a lot of this.
Micah, I don't know if we know that. I don't think we know that they know each other or even talked.
I think she's just making a maybe racist assumption that all Raiden know each
Oh
other.
Oh!
dear. That's so much better.
That's not better, but
Something I forgot to mention, by the way, Blue. Go and make a natural law check because that could change certain things.
Yes, natural
Oh, no.
lore. Here we go.
I love the idea of Micah just like after observing this very deep and meaningful ceremony, just kind of blurts out something a little bit
it's like, did they guys know each other?
dodgy.
That's a 16, and I get
16.
the lore focus thing.
You do.
So
So
I
it's another
gain
plus
an
2.
extra piece of information.
Oh, interesting. Oh. So I'll tell you right now, if you manage to roll over a 19, you will learn something very useful. If you get a 20 or more, you will learn a very deep and profound secret that will change everything. So if you would like to roll conviction to attempt to boost that number, feel free. If you're good where you are, that's also fine.
Do it,
I will
do it.
roll conviction. Is there one that just like gives me a bonus because I'm scared of getting worse?
No, conviction, you take 1 die and re-roll it, so you probably want to re-roll the 2.
Oh yeah, okay, that's how that works.
I think you got this. I think it's gonna be great.
Ooh.
Look at that,
So that makes it, what's the total then? That's a 20?
Mm-hmm.
a 20.
Well, better follow through on
Plus
my
now
promises.
do I have stunt now? I will do more if I need
You
to.
have 4 stunt points, yes.
Is it 6 because I got 2 6?
No,
But
it's
either way.
the blue number is the number of stunt points.
Ah, okay. I don't know if I can make it better, but if I can, I make it better.
I don't think for a knowledge check you can, but there's a lot of exploration stunts that give you stuff for your next stuff that you do, basically, if you want to peruse those. While you do that, though, I'm going to share with you a very deep and profound secret, which
Yes.
Nevi and Cindy,
Yes.
I'm going to need you to not literally close your ears,
Right.
but ignore all this information I'm about to tell you because it's big. It's very big, but feel free to listen, obviously. So Blue,
Take off my headphones. Not a big deal.
you don't have to, but it's up to you. Blue, it's fair to say that when you had your encounter with Vethra, things were very tumultuous. It was hard for you to really. There's so much going on, and your mind was kind of all over the place. I think, honestly, given what you just did, the sort of ritual you just performed, the sanctity of putting these Raiden to rest, and the tumultuous feelings in your heart and soul that are sort of tearing at each other right now, I think that is what triggers your recollection of something that could help. And it's like the stars just happen to align in this exact moment, and you're like, oh. You recall a secret. This is a secret that you discovered in your short time at the Sky Galloping Shrine. And it was one that, the Vata An weren't able to decipher. They use words and, music to convey their stories. That's not quite how Raiden do it. Books very hard when you don't have, proper arms and hands.
Yeah.
So the way Raiden store information, it's a very little known method, but Raiden are capable of basically imprinting certain things to certain places in combination with emotions and weather and landmarks and things like this. And you know that this kind of process is very hard to replicate in a non-natural place. So it was quite miraculous that you stumbled across something like this in the Sky Galloping Shrine, although it was probably built by Raiden, so that is maybe why it was a bit easier for you. But it is through these marks, through these imprints, this kind of instinct, that you discovered something. And it was that the wield itself has bones that make it up. Much like anything, it is built upon a structure. They are not your typical bones, obviously. They're more, metaphorical. But you know of something known as the wield's pillars. And these are sacred, very powerful magic sites where it is thought that the majority of the wield's magic originate from. And it is through these pillars that unicorns get their power. It's the way that Raiden are touched with awakening. It is how the Raiden got together to create the scepter of the Blue Rose, which is currently used by the Queen of Aldis. That part you probably don't know. I should have said that. Oh well. No, you found it out. It was imprinted. You found it out. And it's at these pillars where there is a surge of magical power, and sometimes it can be very subtle. It is famously difficult to decipher. There are very few Raiden academics and scientists, you could say, when it comes to the wield. Once they get to the city, they might sort of turn on that path, but the wield itself is so sacred that it's almost rude to pry too far into its metaphysical underpinnings. But what is known is that at these pillars, through certain methods, none of them known for sure, there are ways to channel the power of the wield into one person, into several people, into an entire area of territory. And it is, obviously, this knowledge is extremely dangerous, because should the two legs know of something like this, they will, you know what they'll do with it.
There will be something.
And there'll be different reasons, but at the end of the day, it will be exploited. You get the feeling that Vethra stumbled across one of these pillars. They are known to either move or, like anything, die and be reborn in other places. It's unknown. But you think Vethra found one of these pillars and accidentally summoned from it immense power. And it is probably attuned to her right now, which is what is giving her so much unimaginable power for just a single entity. And you think she is returning to the location of one of these pillars and is trying to reabsorb that energy so that she might continue on this crusade of hers.
So one, I was right. Yes, not sorcery. I knew it.
Nice.
Two, I don't know if I want them. I don't know if I want us to find this now. Like this. I'm gonna. What Blue does next, he subtly leads them on a very mild goose chase.
Okay.
While trying to communicate through the psychic contact with
Interesting.
Vethra.
Take another point of conviction then.
Thank you.
Okay, so Blue is leading both of you through the Weald. As always, as with all of your excursions in the Weald, it's a bit tricky. The country is not ideal. There's no smooth roads or anything like that. There's the occasional cliffside you have to climb up a little bit. Before we dive in too much with Blue, what is going on with Micah and Rami during this time? Do you say anything to each other? Do you say anything to Blue?
Rami is half and half trying to keep people's spirits light by just being obnoxious as hell and being like, oh, I hate walking. Look at this rock, that kind of stuff, just trying to keep their minds off of it. But is also very worried about Blue's complete personality change and people. And
it's fair to say Val had a bit of a personality change too, so it begs the question of did some sort of psychic wind blow through here and just rewire some things in their personalities?
Exactly. It's weird. It's not right. Rami is keeping a very, very close eye on Blue and is honestly just trying to get him to chill because he's kind of on a warpath, freaking out, doing a bunch of
also
things.
Exhausted. He's running himself ragged.
Exactly. And she's pretty worried about him on that hand. But she's also trying to bring levity and be like, oh, Micah, I hate walking.
What about you, Micah?
I think she's just being a little too hyper aware and sensitive, like being a little too careful, just like not to step on any plants underfoot, being very careful not to disturb the birds that are chirping overhead, kind of thing. Just like, things happen. He's not okay. He's very naturey.
Yeah. Would you say Micah's gotten used to traveling through wilderness like this that isn't subterranean?
I think a bit more. She's not just like, what is this? It's a tree? What?
Does it annoy her that there's just so much life everywhere and it all has its own goals and it just...
It's like, there's just noise. It's just so noisy. It is so noisy. She's gotten used to it.
Mushrooms and bats and spiders were all you had to deal with, and now it's so much more.
And now there's like birds and there's like, like squirrels. Squirrels freaked her out for a long time. Squirrels freak me out in real life, so
Wait, they no longer freak Micah out?
She still jumps at them, but she's like, oh, it's a squirrel. It's not gonna kill me.
Okay. Great. Love it. So, why don't you both make perception empathy tests, while Blue, I want you to make a deception test.
Yes. What is that?
I think it's communication.
Favorite. It is communication.
Cool. Here we go.
Okay. So, Blue, you got a 10, and Rami, you got
an 11.
Yep.
an 11. Awkward. Did you roll? Did you roll?
Oh, did you want me to roll?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Perception, empathy.
Sure.
I will attempt to use a
I think things are fine.
stunt point.
Okay, I'm gonna re-roll something then. I'm gonna re-roll my 1 then if you're
Okay, so you're spending conviction. Blue is using a stunt.
Can I use a stunt and a point? I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, I will re-roll one.
So the
I
beautiful
really
thing
need
about
them not to
conviction
know
is
this.
Okay,
you
that's
can
not great.
literally do it anytime.
Okay, cool. That didn't help much. I got one more.
Okay.
I
Blue's
got
doing great.
a whole
Blue's
lot
doing
more.
great.
You rolled
I'm
another
also-
6 on a conviction roll. Amazing.
Yeah,
Great,
I'm
you're
gonna-
killing it.
thank you. I'm trying really hard. I'm gonna use the sway the crowd feature to try and to make it so
Are you-
that they definitely think like, oh yeah, this is right. This is fine.
You're using inter-party stunts right now.
Ooh.
I need them not to know that
I love it.
it's a pillar.
Micah will
Beautiful.
remember. Micah's not aware of this.
Cindy will
Cindy
remember.
will
this.
remember
Cindy
this.
will remember this.
Even scarier.
That's true. Cindy's scary. Micah is not.
Okay.
Oh, thanks,
Well, I
guys.
think- Just to exemplify what just happened there is a moment of Rami, you're very good at figuring out what makes people tick. It is frustrating you how Blue has a raven face and a raven body because you're so good at reading body language, and this makes it that much harder. And then you step in something, it's like, oh, my new shoes, and it distracts you just enough for you to not quite necessarily understand that Blue is not leading you to the correct place. So Blue, where do you go? Where do you go from here? You've led them away from where you want to go.
He's not too sure. Like he's trying to go.
Oh, but you said you wanted to talk to.
Yeah, like he's like kind of. He's focusing on two different things at the same time right now. Like, and he's already so tired. Like he's probably not leading them anywhere specific, just not towards where the last sighting of the cat was, not towards any sort of clue as to what it might be.
Okay. So while you're doing that, do you speak with Vethra?
Yes, I will
Okay.
use the psychic contact to try and speak with her.
All right. She answers. And as with psychic contact in our game, when you're in psychic contact with somebody, you basically see a ghostly image of them. You see nothing of their surroundings, but you at least have something to play off of. So you see her kind of lying down, and then she stands up and sits and just kind of looks at you.
Are we like moving? Because he's still like
You're still
slowly
moving,
fun-
yes.
Yeah,
So
okay,
she'll
cool.
basically see you just kind of like flutter every now and then.
fluttering, and I'm seeing her like her stance.
She's just
like,
staying
moving.
still, so that's
yeah,
odd.
Okay, it's cool. I found who you were talking about. I found the hunter.
Her
I
eyes
found
get very wide, and she says, "What did you do with them?"
he is being held right now. He's not in any harm besides being a cat, but he's secure. And I found what were our people.
How many?
How many was it?
3.
I found 3 of them.
And you can see that like she just looks devastated by this, and she kind of like looks up at you and says, "This is what they do. This is what they will always do."
I have also realized what you're doing. And it's not right. There's certainly a way to go about these things, and I can't say that I fully believe that what you're doing is all in the wrong, but using the power that you're using right now, it's not okay.
How can you be so blind? Can you not see that the wheel is on my side here? The boons it's granting me, the power. And we're setting everything right. There doesn't need to be bloodshed. We just need to declaw them, one by one. And that is something I am now capable of. When I came back from the shrine, I went straight to the closest unicorn and told them that I would gladly lead the retribution in battle. And And they said to me that there would be no retribution, that our people would be slaughtered, and our secrets plundered, our places defiled through treachery and death and terror, and that our response is to simply sit here and wait till they do it again and again and again until the end of time itself, until there's nothing of the Weald left. She kind of steps back a little bit, realizing that she got a bit intense.
Okay. Can you just hold on? Just give us time to actually talk about this. I don't turn any more people into cats for the time being. Allow us to form some sort of bridge and make a more concise plan.
Make a persuasion test. I'm going to say it's a -2 on this because she's very firm in her convictions.
Okay.
Wait, no. I'll say it's +2 to the difficulty. No point for a penalty. I know how to run RPGs. I'm going to tell you up front, it's going to be very hard.
Yes. Okay.
But I believe in you.
You've been
Have your
rolling
rolls.
so well.
Man, I'm scared. It's probably okay. Here we go. It's fine. Everything's happening. I'm gonna use a
13
conviction
total.
point on the 1.
Okay. If you roll another 6, I swear to the primordials.
No.
Oh no,
There's
another
balance
one.
in everything.
There's
But can I use my stunt points that I didn't bring in?
Yes, this is going to be a time where their use is going to be slightly conditional because the force you're up against is quite resolute.
Yes.
So I have the ultimate vetoing, I'm afraid. But please tell me what you'd like to do. If it's something like you flirt and she falls in love with you, it's like, well,
Well,
don't know if that's appropriate right now.
I think I'm gonna try the new friends one. Not
Oh, interesting.
in a way to like convince her like there's a part of me that is very on your side about this, but I do think we should change a bit.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so she is effectively your friend at this point. You have demonstrated enough to her that your allyship is understood. And it's a real shame that you're so, such odds on this one issue because you feel like together, it would be great, just like with you and Tessic.
Mm-hmm.
She leans a bit close to you and sort of cocks her head with a bit of an expression of pity, like you're simply misled, like you will have to endure some more pain before you finally see the truth. And then she says to you, "You want to build a bridge? That's what they build. We let rivers lie." And then the psychic contact is cut off.
It's a really powerful statement.
There's mud on my shoe.
Watch.
Blue looks really sad, but at this point he kind of
This might be a good time for a break.
yeah.
How do people
Great.
feel about that?
Yeah,
I feel that.
Alright.
Let's, let's do that.
Okay,
Okay.
guys, we will take 5.
We'll be right back.
we're
And
back.
we're back. Hooray.
Hello.
Diving right back in. Blue, you've been leading your allies astray to try and avoid finding Vethra and the pillar. But just having talked to her, she does not seem like she's going to be stopping anytime soon. And if she is not stopped, she will continue this campaign of hers. And another town will go, and it might be Miniry. So, it's a lot to grapple with, but what do you do from here? And you kind of like look back and see, Rami complaining about the mud. You see a squirrel sneak up on Micah and give her a bit of a fright. Where do you go from here?
I know that I need to stop her from turning more people into cats. I also know that wherever we go, wherever I lead them to stop her, it's going to reveal something about the wheel that I believe that no two legs should really know. So
Well, one point is that if she is at a pillar and you go there and, Rami and Micah see it for themselves, they still don't necessarily know what it is or understand its power. It could be possible to conceal it if that is indeed a thing you think is appropriate.
It seems as if Blue is taking a sharp left.
Okay. That probably is something that you both notice of just like, why did we do that?
That's weird. There's something that Yuri taught me. We talk sometimes, and she's really wise for an old person. I guess old people are normally wise, though. So that makes sense that she's so wise, But she was telling me that sometimes when things get really bad, it's nice to just talk about when things are better. And I was just wondering, Blue, if you wanted to share a happy moment from your life. Something good, something nice, something to just take your mind off of everything that's happening right now.
I'm sorry, feeling a bit clouded. I guess there's a lot of happy moments, usually involving Tessic. He's been a really great friend to me. I don't know how much you guys have gotten to talk to him.
Not as much as I'd like. He seems kind of like a lot in a different way than you.
Yes, he is. That is the perfect.
Oh, you have met him.
Seems like you know him pretty well.
How did you guys become friends?
Oh, he kind of found me, I guess. I was just a little bird on the ground, fell from my nest, and from there we just stuck together, it seems like.
Probably had a lot of interesting situations then, the two of you, huh?
Yeah, definitely. We've had some interesting adventures. We've practically always been together. I'd call this probably our greatest one, venturing outside the Weald and, helping you guys. It's lovely.
You seem like a very nice and pleasant person, but were you kind of a rascal as a kid? Did you guys, go around and cause some chaos, stir some drama, any, teenage escapades?
Don't tell her too much. She might write an article about you.
I am not going to write an article about this. This is off book.
Or your brother, as it may be.
I'm not going to write an article about either. You have my word that this is not for an article. I am literally just trying to be a mature, nice person. I do that every once in a while.
Yeah, you're great. And this is nice. I enjoyed talking about this. It seems like he's actually leading them to the actual cat spot now too. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure how far off he veered, but the dramatic turn. But I guess you could say we were more so him. He was a bit more mischievous, and I was there, and I would help sometimes in whatever way I could. But usually it was more him than I would.
I'm glad you guys had each other. I'm glad you guys still have each other. It's nice to have those kind of bonds.
Thank you. Do you have... Where are you again?
Where am I from? Oh, my mother builds bridges. We've been over this before. And yes, and my father, he had a bunch of boring books and he was like, Rami, you should read more of those. And I was like, oh God, I don't want to. Which is why sometimes I seem like I know things that I probably doesn't seem like I would know. It's because he made me read all these awful books and I hate them. And I hated them so much, right? So I was just like, I'm gonna leave because I don't want to deal with that anymore.
So
And then I
you're
came
from under a bridge? What? Or from out of a book? What?
I think
No,
she's saying she's like from what is called a library by Two
Oh,
Legs.
with a bridge? A library with a bridge?
No, those are my parents' jobs. I just lived in a normal town. I'm honestly trying to not let them know where I am. So I'm just kind of keeping it low key. So no one really knows where I am currently. I have a couple siblings. I like being away. I didn't have the kind of relationship you have with your family.
Oh, so, okay. We'll avoid bridges and libraries.
But
And,
no, we
in
don't.
those towns and stuff.
If there's sort subjects for you, I
Wait,
don't
wrong
mind.
one.
I'm not much of a book person myself. I prefer a different type of reading, as you see.
I don't like books either. Ridiculous.
Books are so bad. We should have a book burning party.
Oh,
it's
well, no.
so good,
not,
Val, isn't
not
it?
necessarily that far, I'd say.
I just like parties.
You can see the slight tint of fire in Rami's eyes lit up a little bit at that solution.
Okay,
That's a
well,
really good one.
maybe we shouldn't stop talking about burning things. Are we lost, Blue? We kind of went in a different direction, and I don't know if we're lost. I don't know where I am.
Instant
No,
conviction, by the way, Rami.
Oh,
no,
thank you.
not lost, I'd say. I just realized like I was sort of heading in a different direction. I this is the right way. Trust
Oh,
me.
okay. Well, if you're tired, you can I can carry you for a bit, and if it's really making your head all fuzzy, or we can do this some other time. We don't have to do this at all.
You have been moving at half speed this entire time, by the way. I forgot to
Yeah,
mention.
I don't know
Oh,
if that's
wow.
like, that's pretty slow. I'm like, yeah. Thank you. I would actually much rather ride on your shoulder.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Or we don't have to do this today or tomorrow or ever, or or ever do anything like this again because it's kind of scary.
I think time is of the essence. We should probably.
I mean, yeah,
Hurry.
but tea is nice. Like I think I like tea now. Sweet's introduced me to some tea, and sometimes he avoids doing things by drinking lots of tea and saying it's work. So,
He also puts a little something extra in the tea sometimes.
Oh, does
dear.
he?
Only
Who
when
are
he's
we
off the
talking
clock.
about?
Who are we talking about? I didn't
This is,
realize.
Sorry, this is Sarik, who is kind of the main engineer on the tunneling
Ah.
project. He and
Mhm.
Micah became fast friends during their first encounter.
Okay,
Also, Micah gained conviction.
Oh, sure. Okay.
cool. Sarik drinks on the job. I never said anything about
No,
not
I
putting.
explicitly said he doesn't do it on the clock.
Drink. I heard job. Those words go near each other.
The last thing he needs is a scandal, but here comes one.
Here comes one. It's fine. So knowing that, how far away did I lead us away from that cat spot? Like,
No, not too far. That's nothing too recoverable. For those of you, do any of you have exactly 1 point of fatigue right now?
I did.
It might be worth taking just a 5-minute breather.
is that
'cause
all
then
it takes?
For if you have exactly 1 level, if you have
Oh.
anything more than 5 minutes is worth nothing to you,
Okay.
unfortunately. So if you wanted to, you could, justify you got turned around a little bit, rest just for a moment, and then reorient to get back on track.
Oh, maybe like the nice conversation we just had could have been
Yeah,
that rest
exactly.
point.
Yeah.
That feels like a.
So,
Okay.
Mikey, you can reduce your fatigue by 1.
Brilliant. Thanks.
And you can also heal a bit, but you're all at full health, so you're good to go.
Mhm.
So, Blue, once you get back on track, you return, you pathfind your way to the area where the hunter marked the altercation between Vethra and itself. It's honestly a lot of the wheel looks the same. There's nothing about this place that suggests it's particularly that any kind of event took place, on the surface at least. But you strongly believe that this is the place. There's little room for error because it's right next to a landmark that you recognize, a very sort of spongy, a tree covered with very spongy moss, which is quite clearly marked on the map. So this is the area. It's just a matter of picking up a clue and seeing where it can take you, and hoping for the best.
I've used so much magic today.
You really shouldn't use
And
more.
you're quite tired.
I'm so tired.
I mean, Micah and Rami have their own skills. You could ask.
Yeah, if you guys see anything, just let me know.
What are we looking for exactly?
I guess traces of cat marks. If you two can sense any sort of powerful nature magic here, or in the direction of some, it might be helpful.
Like second sight? I can do second sight.
Like second sight.
Good, because you have to understand, sometimes you guys say a bunch of magical stuff, and I'm kind of like, what the fuck are you talking about? But,
How do
okay,
you think
second
I
sight.
feel? Everyone here is
sorry.
a wizard.
I am not a wizard. I am the opposite of a wizard. Occasionally I have visions and they hurt really bad and I cry. I don't think wizards do that.
Okay, well,
Oh my god. Never. Oh gosh. I thought this had a fatigue test. Yes. Continue, please. While they do that, please. I'm gonna do nature knowledge. And wait.
You can only do that once a day, and you did it last time, unfortunately.
Oh, I did. Oh gosh. Darn.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
But it is fair to say that during that moment you don't necessarily know what you were looking for, and now you did. So if you'd like, you can make an intelligence check to retroactively go through what you learned from that and see if anything sticks out to you now that you know what you're looking for.
or
Yeah.
Nevi rolled a 11. Was the 13 on her second sight, so
Awesome. None of the rolls are coming up for me, so I'll take your word for it.
okay.
So 13 with second sight. So let's just double check how second sight works here. Da-da-da-da. Okay, so a 13 gives you about a 20 or so foot area of you being able to detect arcana use and potential energies being thrown around. Sad and unfortunate thing about the wheel is there's a lot of those going around. And you are not necessarily attuned enough to pick apart anything that seems unique. It's all just a jobble of vines to you.
There's like a lot of nature magic. This vine's really magical. That's weird.
Yeah, that's
It's subtly-
that sense. So that is a 6 plus 2, 8 plus 3, 11. 11 hit to remember what I did before.
11 is not the best roll, and I forgot to mention that you have a -2 and everything because of your fatigue.
Yes.
So,
So that's actually a 9,
It's a 9. Yeah.
which is the difficulty for an easy check. So yeah, I'm sorry you don't. Then again, could one argue that finding, one of the most powerful parts of the wheel is actually quite easy if you try and read nature? No, it isn't, because
No.
otherwise everybody would do it and find it really easy.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's
Hmm.
you know that it's got the nature of the pillars are very capricious, and they kind of do what they want a lot of the time, frustratingly, include camouflaging themselves and not being found easily. So sifting through that knowledge, at least you don't find any particular way to go forward on it. Micah, did you want to do something? Did you want to start tracking? Did you want to stone shape some things?
I don't know. I'm just she'll try her best.
Smash some things?
But she's just like, now what does a cat paw look like again?
Cats are the ones that wag their tails, right?
Are the cats the ones that wag their
Okay.
tails? Or like, they're all the other ones? Okay. I'm sorry, animals are really hard to get right sometimes. Yeah, so she'll try a perception check.
Yeah, people should do any kind of perception test, like smelling, touching, listening.
Yeah, I mean, she has smelling, so that's.
Yeah, go for
We'll
it.
try that. That's a 16
Oh,
total.
There's Micah rolling a 16, though.
Yeah!
Yes.
Micah has
Finally!
rolls all the time though.
Ugh! Except in combat. Weh!
Yes, true. Well, unless it's you're one-shotting a guy on the first turn.
Yeah.
Or if they're eating a man.
It's really all or nothing, yo.
As long as you're not using, a weapon, you're usually very good. Okay, so here's what happens. Micah, you honestly have no idea what to do. So you just kind of like start walking around in a few circles, start sniffing some things. Oh, there's a scent there that you get actually. And it's a sort of foul, pungent scent, and you follow that scent, and it leads to an arrow stuck into a tree. And this is one of the arrows you can recognize from the hunter, coated in the same kind of poison that the other one was. Fortunately, it seems like this one missed its mark. But from that sort of area, you start sniffing around some more, and you start to smell the ever so faint trace of blood. And you can see there's a small splash of it on a nearby moss-covered rock. And from there, it gives you a sort of direction to point your nose in, and you can see there's a very subtle blood trail trickling off.
Okay, well, we found a blood trail. Maybe we can just like head out now, go the opposite way, That's fine. Ominous blood trail, arrows. Yep, we're good.
It's very faint. It's gonna take some work to really focus in on it.
Oh, we don't need to maybe this is nothing. Maybe this is just, someone, like scraped their ankle or something, and we don't need to follow it at all. Yeah, okay.
We probably should follow it, Micah. I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. What's follow trail? Can we just follow it? Tracking. I don't have that.
Whoever among you has tracking can roll that, and if none of you have it, then whoever has the highest perception can roll it and add +2 because the rest of you are helping.
Okay, I don't have tracking. I think someone else has higher perception. I have 0.
I think it's Blue, but Blue's exhausted, so that wouldn't work. I have a +2.
That's great.
+3, but you'd have a +4, and I'd still have a +3.
Go for
Yes,
it.
ultimately, Rami would be best.
Okay.
Go for it, my dude. Ooh, that's an 11 with 5 stun points.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Let's look at stun points. I forgot.
Yeah. This is a 5 as well. So if you want to spend that on an exploration stun, that could really help.
We stunting.
We stun in the wheel. I love to imagine that Micah is thinking right now, if only I knew how to... Maybe there's a blood trail with that missing cow fiasco and the ghosts and everything. Which has since evolved into the ghost cow fiasco.
Oh no.
The tale's the farmer's tale of the ghost cow that haunts the moors.
That's the local legend now.
Yep.
That's great.
Never found that cow.
Never did find the ghost cow.
So sad.
Micah's not a good guard.
There's...
You said someone to do with it, like, that's something.
Sorry, there's like a lot of choices.
Yeah, there's so many stunts, and we've been off for a long time, folks, so we apologize for a few rusty gears here and there.
Whoever's been watching, they're just like, what do you mean? It's been a month, guys.
So sad.
We're back.
-1, but still good.
-1. Yeah.
Choose a focus you don't have that falls under the same ability as the test you're making. You are considered to have that focus. Can I do resources at hand and take empathy for the focus, since that seems to be coming up a lot?
Sure.
And just...
So does that mean your next empathy is really good, or just for the scene it's you have that focus?
It went away from me, so let me go relook at it. But, reading people is coming up a lot, so...
Sure.
And I think that fits Rami better than being like, oh, I know what that vine is, because I don't think she does. And,
it would be pure theatrics.
Exactly. So, choose a focus you don't have that falls under the same ability as the test you're making. You're considered to have that focus until the time or the venue changes.
Great. I think it's fair to say that you've been observing Blue a lot. And although you didn't really get a chance to see Vethra, or you don't actually know who Vethra is yet, you do know that this Rycat, whoever they are, they clearly were hunted. You can put those pieces together. And I think just extrapolating from Blue, you can just get a sense of their state of mind a little bit. And you think that if you do come across this person again, they are likely going to be a bit unhinged. It's going to be hard to get your point across. And obviously they're doing some very shady things, and you think you can use that to your leverage of just a little bit more understanding into their psyche. So it takes a while. You have to backtrack a few times, but eventually you find an area that, for Rami and Micah, it's nothing new or special. It is another part of the wilderness where there's more wilderness things. Blue, you are very keenly attuned to the wields, and you know when something just feels different. You enter a glade, and the glade is kind of depressed into the ground a little bit, and the trees reach up far overhead, obscuring a good portion of the sky above. And at the center of this glade, there is a pool of water, which is very... It doesn't look clean, and it doesn't look natural. There is something off about these murky waters. And in the center of the waters, there is a large stone pillar stretching high up, and it has a crown of these sort of pink roses at the very top. You don't really know how they got up there or how they're growing, but you definitely see there's a lot of thorned stems that reach unnaturally high and seem to kind of clutch at the rock, and they have thorns that are far too long. And you feel very cold here. There is
like cold for like very cold.
Wise.
Like okay, cool.
And there's a brief sense of some kind of life here, and it's gone very quickly. And you hear psychically in your mind, "Why did you bring them here?"
Though some of what you're doing has some merit, it has to stop. They don't know where we are, but they know that you need to be stopped.
This is what it's come to. Now they're turning us on each other.
They don't have... Just talk to me, please.
We talked enough. You need to get out of this place now. And with that swelling anger you can feel inside of Vethra, you can feel the area around you change as well, almost as though it's a mirror for her psyche. The waters grow cloudier and start to shake a little bit. The thorns constrict a bit more. They grow just a little bit more. The winter roses get a sort of more dark shade to them. The light here seems to just diminish a little bit. The grass seems to point out there is a subtle fury in this place, and it's getting stronger. And Micah and Remy, looking around, it's like, oh, this is another part of the Weald. You've probably started to notice that like there are subtle changes happening around you, but the thing you most certainly notice is that coming out of the forest at all angles around you are animals, and their eyes glow bright green. You see elk, you see boars, you see rabbits and squirrels.
Squirrel.
You see foxes, and they just slowly move in, stand perfectly still, and just stare at you two.
I don't want to fight animals.
And Vethra says to you, Blue, they will be expelled. You have at least earned a right to be here. What do you hope to achieve?
I wish nothing more than to find a peaceful resolution to this. All I ask for now is that you hold on with the whole turning people into cats, misshaping their nature. It's not right.
The Weald is on my side. And then Rami and Micah, you can see that the thorns on the pillar shoot out and start to wrap up in coils on the ground, and they form a sort of vaguely kind of quadruped shape, and from what would be its head blooms a massive sort of pinkish purple rose. And while the animals are all staring at you, they're still staring at you. They just start moving off to the side around the pillar and stand around it defensively while this thorny creature lunges at the both of you. I would like you both to roll initiative.
Oh god.
And Blue as well. You're hit too.
And Blue as well. I was like, okay, no. Okay. What is that
Where
for
is
us? Is it
initiative even at
Sorry,
anymore?
it's just your dexterity, which
Oh.
unfortunately does not get added to the turn tracker automatically. So
So you just click dexterity?
Yeah. And then just yell out your name and what you get.
holy beans? Oh
Alright.
gosh, you guys are
Well,
running
Ooh,
away.
Blue did good. So Blue got a 16.
Okay, Blue got a 16. Nice, acting
Remy
quickly.
got a 17.
Remy got a 17.
Yeah.
Damn, Remy.
And I got a 8 plus 5 is 13.
13. Good work, good work. And I'll quickly roll for this thorny thing. It got a 14. Okay.
Cool. Math is hard, guys.
It is. It's meant to be adding it up, and I think it's not doing it because it's just very slow because it's depending on my machine, which I'm very sorry about.
Don't worry about it.
Not my machine, my internet. Okay. Bam. Rami, this thing is coming at you. It has kind of a combination between a very large moose and a gorilla a little bit. It seems to have a lot of front heavy power. And it is obviously extremely malicious, and it's coming right at you, and you fear your words are not going to have much effect here. What do you do? Actually, I don't want to put actions in your mouth. Maybe words will have an effect. You can do whatever you want.
Yes, I mean, I would like to talk to the creepy vine thing, but I don't know if it has ears. Not currently sure if that's the case. I technically have a sword that I have not used yet because I'm not that into them, though I have one.
Yeah.
I think at this point I am gonna take it out, but I'm like not happy about it.
Yeah, there's a reluctance there.
I mean-
Reluctance to your extremely fast initiative.
Yeah, I would prefer if we could just talk. I'm a lot better at that than cutting vines. I'm
It
not
stops
a gardener.
towards you, and vines form into these massive antlers on its head.
You're really impressive.
It does remind you of Fred a little bit, were it not so thorny.
You kind of remind me of a friend of mine.
So what are you doing, Remy?
Honestly, I think I'm gonna duck behind Micah and wait.
Absolutely. Yeah,
What?
you can act defensively, which adds a +2 to your defense for the round. And you hide behind Micah. Real quick, in combat, your conviction can do a whole lot of extra things, and you can use it at any time. So even if it's not
Okay.
your turn, you can use it to increase your defense, take an extra action, all sorts of fun stuff. So keep that in mind. Blue, it's your turn. You currently do not see Vethra anywhere, but you know she's here.
I will. First, I immediately put myself between the guardian and wherever Mika is. Not Mika, Micah. Micah is. So that it's Blue, Micah, Rami.
Okay. Weird sandwich, but okay.
Weird sandwich. And then I'm going to speak to.
Vethra psychically.
I don't know if I want to speak to Vestra or is there some way I can attempt to? What's really kidding me is that it seems like the wield is on her side. She's using
Yep.
the abilities, and this is all happening. But is there anything in my mind that would say okay, the wield, while alive, is not actively able to resist this, or if the
Interesting.
wield wants her to do this, then this is is this? I don't know.
Why don't you make a
Is-
natural
it-
law, and we can
yeah.
see where that takes you.
Yes, please.
So you interpose
you.
yourself, and then you start to
I think
rack
that's
your brain for an
defend.
answer.
Yeah, I'm taking the defend as my action.
So you do.
Yeah.
I think technically you're doing your skill check. So
Oh,
that's your
is
action,
that-
unfortunately.
Oh, cool. Okay, that's fine. I appreciate the skill check.
Well, I said ooh, but it's actually really good. What's that?
I'm
8,
gonna
10.
also
th-
more
13.
conviction. Woo
Yeah, go for it.
for that one.
Do
So you have a 13 right now.
Time
and
for
now
the
it's
great
a
fix.
13 improved to a 16. That's really good. So 16, let's see. You believe, given on the imprint that you instinctively learned about during your brief stay at the Sky Gallop Shrine, you think that the powers of the Weald are something that can be granted to a person or several people or a territory and stuff like that. The method of like activating this power or like gaining it or petitioning it or whatever it is, that is extremely unknown. It is probably different for every single pillar. It probably changes every now and then. You believe that Vethra did something completely by accident, and that just happened to be the thing that activated the powers in this place. You also believe that since there is this sort of very unusual password that you have to guess effectively through actions and time and weather and all these other variables, you believe that there is something about this pillar that was waiting or wanting to pursue that, and now it has found its conduit through which to act. Effectively, this place is a mirror of Vethra. So if you can drive down Vethra's sort of emotional defenses and get down to the core of her rage, you believe you can stop this and effectively sever her from this power.
Okay. Cool.
So that's your turn. The Thorn Guardian is going to see that you stand in its way and then just raise up these big gorilla arms and just shoot vines out that completely pass you, Blue, and start to envelop Micah. Micah, does a 14 hit your defense?
Yes, it does.
Okay. The vines completely wrap you up, and you take some damage in the form of you take 9 points of damage as these vines just wrap around you and start scraping at your body, at your clothes, at your armor.
Okay.
And as it wraps you up, it kind of like pulls itself closer to you as well, as though it is about to engulf you. It is now your turn, Micah.
So I'm probably kind of restrained, right?
You currently are unable to take the move action. Unless you break free.
If we can't, can I? We can't take the move action. Can I like at least chuck Rami up into a tree and hopefully let her?
As long as you're not moving, yeah, you can just go. Just launch her like a missile
up into the tree. Just like I don't know, man. They came from under the ground. I'm just trying to get people out of here.
The answer is if you're strong enough. So let's see if you're strong enough.
Okay, let's do it.
Rami, I don't think weighs a whole lot, but she is weighed down by a lot of trinkets.
That's
that's what, 21? That's 9 possible. You could lift up a tower with that. Great.
Yeah, cool.
So you just like some kind of cyborg just reach back and just launch Rami. Rami, you suddenly find yourself flung into the air, flailing around, and you can either try to reach out for a branch or just fall. It's up to you. Okay, you grab onto a branch and you are now just hanging there. You see that there is a bird standing on this branch that just slowly turns its head to you. Actually, it's an owl, and its head slowly turns 180 degrees and you see bright green eyes.
Get out of here!
Really creepy.
But as far as you can tell, the animals aren't moving on you yet. They're just taking a defensive sort of perimeter around this place. Micah, that was your major action. Anything for your minor action?
I forgot that minor actions were a thing. Give me one moment.
You can also conviction to take an extra action if you would like at any time.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, maybe I'll use a conviction to try to attack it or get at it.
Okay, fantastic.
Sure, let's do that. So it's a conviction point to just attack it?
Yes, conviction point to basically get another major action for the turn.
Okay, sounds good. I'll try that then.
All right. So you reach back and pull during while your arms behind your back, you just grab your hammer.
Mm-hmm. That's a 18
Damn,
to hit
with 6 stunt points.
Yeah.
6 combat stunt points. That's gonna hurt.
Sweet.
That absolutely hits this thing. As you just bring the hammer and just slam it onto its rosebud head. Turns out rosebuds aren't very strong when it comes to hammers.
Cool. 6 stun points. I don't even know what it does. I can just gain an extra 2d6. But anyway.
Do you want to do that?
Yeah, I'll do, yeah.
Holy!
So
13 damage!
13 points of damage, and I'll just do an extra 2d6. So 13 plus 5, so 18 damage.
18 damage. You slam this thing with such force. First of all, you are completely unbound by whatever thorns it had wrapped around you. As you send it reeling, you hear the sound of many, many dry twigs just snapping as you crunch through this thing. Whatever it had for a head is gone. Now it is just kind of a thorny mess that's just writhing on the ground. It looks like it's trying to reconstitute itself a little bit, but oof, you really, really, really hurt this thing.
Okay, yeah, and then maybe I'll just shout to everyone, can we run now? Do we run now?
And that brings it back to Rami's turn. You're on a branch.
Yeah, I wasn't really,
Oh, sorry, real quick. One thing that does happen is as you crunch down on that thing, you can hear psychically Vethra screaming out just a little bit, Blue. Less of a scream, more of just a extension of effort.
Mm-hmm.
Rami, sorry, back to you.
So I saw Blue step in front and is clearly like has an idea of how they want to handle this, which is why I kind of stepped back and I wanted to ask Blue just what their plan here, what their game plan is, what they want me to do, because like I don't want to make things worse in this situation, and I feel like being too aggressive is the wrong angle here. Blue, how do you want me to handle this? Currently, I am in a tree, which was not ever part of my plan.
The owl goes, hoo, hoo.
And I'm being angrily stared at by a very mean owl.
Can I respond?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Okay, yes. Get back, please. Just, she doesn't want you here, and I don't want you to get hurt.
So you want me to leave you?
It's fair to say that you just, from what you just saw, it seems like creating these thorn things takes a bit of effort, which Vethra is a bit low on right now. And it seems like if she keeps extending herself with these thorn things, it might exhaust her to the point where you might be able to get what you're looking for, potentially.
Oh. I still want them to, like, I don't know.
Yeah, please do what you want to do.
Just stay back for
Stay
now.
back? Okay.
Just stay back. And
knowing that Blue does not want me to engage, I am going to throw my sword down and go a piece.
That's okay, cool.
The sword flies down and stabs into the ground.
And I put my hands up and go, I do not know how to climb down a tree.
I assume you climbed on the branch, otherwise you would be falling.
Yes,
right now.
there's like,
okay.
And I think my legs are like clinging. It's like very awkward. Hit it like this. I do not know how to climb down a tree. Can I have safe passage down this tree?
As you move, the owl just slowly rotates its head to watch your motion.
I don't like owls now.
And I'm just to Vessera. I understand there has been crimes against you and your people. I do not want to make the situation worse. I have thrown my weapon down as a show of peace. May I please come down the tree? Will you not attack me?
You hear in your mind, Blue, almost called you Anders. You hear in your mind, listen to how it mews. Are they not kittens already? Blue, it's your turn.
Yes. I'm gonna attempt to find like where her signature is, like where is she specifically, and
Sounds
good. Try and like think of a way. Well, I guess that'd be two different things. Well, this one I will just try and find her.
Okay. Roll a perception test of your choice to try and locate her.
Okay, you say of my choice. The psychic thing. I'll just do normal perception.
Okay. And this is with a -2. So that's what, 17, 15?
Yep.
You feel a presence. And you feel like the way that she is sort of rechanneling her energy from this place, she drinks the water. So you think she is somewhere around the basin that surrounds the pillar.
I will also, if I could use that my stuff points to do, that makes me wonder. So I could try and figure out something else. If I could make sure that something else, if I could like try and figure out exactly something that could exhaust her quicker.
Okay.
That I could do.
Why don't you make a empathy test with perception?
Okay.
Does it say you get another test, or you just learn?
It says that I make another perception test.
Okay, yeah, make an empathy
to find
test.
out, discover more information about my surroundings using a focus different from the first. So this is exactly
Perfect.
Exactly. It.
Look at us doing the rules right. Maybe I hope
Hey.
we are.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is 6 plus 5 plus 1 is 12. 12. There,
okay.
You remember that there was a moment where her rage turned to sorrow, and there was a specific thing she was talking about when that happened. And you feel like that was the point where her powers started waning, where sort of the momentum she was carrying with her rage started to falter a little bit. You wonder if you can exploit that again, if you can recall what it was that made her feel the sorrow instead of the rage.
Would this would that be in our first interaction or our second interaction? Because there was like 2 points where she like lost her rage.
Both, I suppose. Probably second.
Okay, cool. Cool. I suppose that's my turn. Blue, seeing that Micah kind of has this well handled, but still looking kind of scared for her, he will move towards the basin and try and find her. But that's my turn.
Sounds good. Okay, the Thorn Guardian is going to initially heal for D6. Getting 1 hit point, everybody.
Woo!
And then, not particularly liking you, Micah, it's going to back up a little bit and sort of shoot its thorns up into the sky and wrap them right around the very branch that Rami is on. You have to quickly kind of dodge out of the way, and they come back down, and it tries to grab you and hoist you up and basically immobilize you. So it's going to attack you again.
Wait, so it's me or Rami?
You, Micah. It's kind of reaching up and over to pull you off the ground.
I didn't think it actually could go that high. That was my intention.
Great. Okay. Plus 3. Bam. Does a 16 hit?
Yes.
Okay. Then you're going to take 9 points of damage as you are lifted off the ground.
This is hurting a lot, yo.
Okay, new plan.
Your healer isn't here.
New plan.
No, she isn't.
I was initially planning. Cool.
It is fair to say the Thorn Guardian, to do all of that, it had to expend basically every bit of itself it had. There is very little resembling any kind of quadrupedal form anymore. It is just a bunch of sinister, thorny vines. And Micah, it's your turn. You're currently held up, suspended off the ground, and of course you cannot move.
Can I try breaking out of it?
Absolutely. That would be a might test. Or
Cool.
a strength might test.
That's 8 plus 2 to 15, 17.
That is enough.
Cool.
Let me just make extra sure. Yes, that's definitely enough.
Okay.
You just basically flex and deal with the pain as all the vines snap off of you and you fall back onto the ground.
Cool. Ow.
Yeah.
And that was my major action, I guess?
Yes.
I guess... I guess for a minor action, can I just move? Can I move?
Yes,
like...
you could just run in the opposite direction of this thing.
Yeah, I'm running in the opposite direction of this thing for a little bit.
What is your speed?
12.
Excellent. So you get quite a lot of ground between you and this creature.
Okay.
Rami, back to you. You've dropped your sword, and the vines that were, or rather the thorns that were holding Micah have since come up and now just soaring their way over the branch you are on.
Yeah, that's great. So I just kind of want to take a second and understand what's happening because there's a bunch of weird magic shit, and I'm kind of just playing it like this is freaking me out a lot, but really I'm trying to take some time to figure out what's going on.
Okay. If you'd like, you can do an Arcana Lore test, or you can just do a
Okay.
general perception test.
Let me see. What would be better? Probably.
Really, there's a lot of magical mumbo jumbo going on, which is why the Arcana Lore might shed the most light. But you can just try and perceive to get an idea of.
I'm looking more at, like, Second Sight had something about Arcana, so I was gonna read
A Second
it
Sight.
real quick.
Yeah, you could do Second Sight and see if you.
have a second. You can read.
It would kind of
uses
reveal.
Arcana in the area of a major action. The TN is 13 to check whether Arcana was used in the area in the past. With 2 points of outcome, you determine what talent was used and roughly when. With 4 points of outcome, you know exactly when the Arcanium was used, what, and whom it was used on. That probably would be good. Maybe that one.
It would be more of like, would you know, oh, somebody used plant shaping here at some point, or currently
Okay.
somebody is using plant shaping, and for the most part, it's fairly, the magic that you're seeing is somewhat obvious in its immediate application. It's sort of the strings behind it that are a little bit more odd.
Got it. So it'd be better than to just either just. Arcana is based off of intelligence, so that would be that one. Would that be the one that I would roll then?
Correct, yes.
Okay, yeah, I'll try it. I doubt this is not Rami's specialty, but she's like,
Sure.
this place is weird. I want to understand a little bit more what's happening here.
Yeah. So
I'm
total of
gonna
9?
re-roll that one
Okay.
just to get a little better. I don't think I'm
Sounds
gonna
good.
get much from this, but I just.
Another thing about conviction is you can use one effect per turn, but only for each effect. So if you wanted to on the same turn, if you had the conviction points for it, you could be like, I'm surging for another action, and I'm re-rolling, and I'm, healing
Yeah,
all
I
at
might
once.
do that. I might just use my last conviction point, but yeah, I got a 4 instead of that 1, so it's a
So
little
that's
bit better.
12.
Yeah, still
Okay.
not great, but
What's happening right now? It's fair to say that in terms of like the sort of general diagnosis of what's going on here, there is some outside of the box stuff happening. And typically the place you jump to for that kind of thing is like, oh, then it's some weird sorcery that's breaking all the rules. But there is something very not sorcerous about this. And you can't quite put your finger on it because when it comes to sorcery, you're not exactly well versed, and it can take many shapes and forms. But the way, just between the way Blue's been acting and sort of just the natural energy of this place, you know that there is something deeper going on here that extends beyond strict arcana and strict sorcery. There is something ancient here.
okay. There's some weird ancient magic crap here. Great, wonderful. Putting that in the back corner, and gonna use my last conviction to completely change my persona and try to get the stupid vine to focus on me instead of Micah. And I'm just gonna because her health is really bad now.
It is.
You can see she's
Thank you.
limping away. Yeah.
So I'm just gonna immediately just rise up and go, actually, you know what? You're kind of annoying me a little bit, and I don't really like the forest. You're kind of gross. Can I just tell that about you? This place is muddy and yucky, and trees are really hard and sticky. I don't really know why they have sap, but it's gross and it's bad, and I don't like this tree, and I don't like you, Vine. And I'm gonna try to antagonize it so it
Vine kind of
focuses
just goes.
on me. Yeah, you ugly green thing. Oh, green, the worst color.
Okay. This is great. Just to clarify, you currently have no weapons and no armor of any kind.
Nope.
Okay, just making sure. All right.
No, Micah's in a worse situation though. Micah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Blue, you hear in your mind the sound of Bethra say, "Behold their capriciousness." Sorry. Behold their capriciousness. One moment begging to learn more, and the next turning it all around. Do you not see the nature of them? And Blue, it is back to you.
I see that she's just trying to help her friend who you're hurting. No problem can be solved like this. The amount of violence and just abuse of nature, I can't. And I'm looking around. Do I see her? Like, I don't know if I have enough speed to do like a full circle, but
You can just do a search test.
okay.
To locate her.
The next idea in my mind was to just like dive into the pool because I felt like it was like, oh, is this like some weird mirror thing where like on the other side of this, like I'm gonna find her.
So it's a total of 10. You take a while to kind of like go around, see if you notice anything. The first thing you notice is that the water, you aren't certain, but you think there's some blood in there. A lot, you would assume, but it's a bit hard to focus right now. You start moving around. Eventually, you find not really Vethra as much as an echo of her, and you feel like she is talking from a place that exists not entirely here. She's entered some kind of she's donned some kind of spirit form that makes it a bit tricky to pin her down. But if your intention is to keep sort of reasoning with her, then that doesn't necessarily stop you a whole lot. Okay. But you now have the vague idea where she is. She's a little bit intangible at the moment.
The next thing I say is, let me help, please. I know you saw more. You've done so much more, and you experienced.
When you say you've done so much more, you feel from the rage in this place suddenly flips to immense guilt. Only momentarily. The viney creature stops for a second. But there was something there. If you would like, you can make an empathy test.
I would love to make an empathy test. Like, what did she do? Is there something I'm missing? Is that what is empathy?
Perception.
Perception. Cool. That is another 10.
Another 10. There, you're getting close to something. You feel that Vethra has some kind of deep-rooted regret or shame. But there is a strong portion of her rage that is focused towards herself, and you're still not entirely, it's not clear why, but she blames herself for something, and it is clearly eating her up on the inside, and you don't think it's turning people to cats. You think that's the solution to the problem.
Yeah, that's the solution to whatever. There's something here, something that I'm not seeing. Please, just tell me.
Jumping back to the Thorn Guardian, it is just going to push its vines together and try and slice at Rami, the best distraction one could ever ask for. So it gets... what did I do? A 14 to hit. Does that meet or beat your defense?
It beats. 13 shield... yes, it beats.
Beats you, okay. So Rami, I'm afraid you're going to take... 9 points of damage as these vines suddenly just wrap around you.
Awesome.
And the owl doesn't even blink as this all happens before it.
I hate owls.
Owl
I actually hate
the
owls.
worst.
Owls actually creep the hell out of me.
You know that fox in the Session 0 one? It just got replaced by the owl with the animal I hate the most.
Oh, yeah.
Great. Micah, you have run in the opposite direction. What are you doing now?
Seeing that Rami's in trouble, I thought she would have left by now, but apparently she didn't. So I guess I'm gonna run back.
The thing you see before you, by the way, is that since you destroyed kind of the body of the thorn creature, it's basically only got some tendrils shooting up and just kind of wrapping up Rami above. So if you wanted to, you could try and sever those, or tackle those, or chuck a hammer at those or something.
Yeah, I guess I'll do one of that, because I don't have anything slicing, unfortunately.
Or you can just start digging. Maybe that will lead you to safety.
You could grab my sword on the ground.
Oh, where's the sword?
Oh.
Where's the sword?
It's directly below her. You could just dive for it and grab
I'll
it.
dive for the sword and I slice her down. Holy crap, that's great.
Okay, make an attack roll.
Cool.
And I'll give this a +1 cool bonus.
All according to
Set
our
him up and
plan.
knock him
Oh,
down.
yes.
Nice.
Alright.
So that's a 12, I guess?
Yes, 12. That is... insufficient, I'm afraid. So you kind of take the sword and you spin around and start to dynamically cut away at the things. Then you realize that this is a rapier and it has very little slashing power and it kind of bounces.
Oh my god, it's a rapier, not a sword?
Bounces off.
Rami!
What's prettier?
It's pretty! What?
That's your turn, Micah. Rami, back to you. You currently cannot move.
Cool.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
This is going great.
You can try to break free. You can try other things.
You know what? I'm just gonna go back and try to piece together some of the knowledge of the things I've been seeing.
Okay.
You're just taking a break right now, just thinking?
Yeah, I am.
Why don't you make another Intelligence Arcana Law roll, and this time add 2 to it.
Okay, that's what I'm doing. You know what? I honestly just relax in it. I'm like, if I die here, I die here.
I was a kitten. I've done everything I need to do.
Being a kitten was pretty great, and yeah, I'll do my best to see if I can figure anything out.
Well, that's 5 stunt points right there if you'd like to use those for anything.
I would. Let's.
Bear in mind, you can use a combat stunt point as well, or a social one. You could use any type you want. So as you think of that, you're 13. As you ponder on it more, you think that this ancient magic... Oh, is this worthy of 13? Sorry, I have to look at what a 13 gives you real quick. How many secrets do I tell? On a 13, that's a challenging. Okay, it says it's challenging. On a 13, it's not just ancient magic. That's not really anything. That's just, all magic, all arcana is arcana. What this is something more primordial, more something that was there during the beginning of time and the creation of the gods and the creation of the great wheel of life and rebirth. This is the very powerful stuff. This is the kind of stuff that made the world exist. You think.
Okay.
That's at least your running theory. You are currently being eviscerated by thorns,
Yes,
so it's hard to really draw a lot of
that is,
conclusions.
Currently happening to me. That's a problem.
Oh no.
Anything
cool.
else?
Sorry, there's just a lot of things to look at.
Yeah, there are. If you want, you can take a stunt out of turn. While
Yeah,
Resolve
let's
stuff with
just
Blue.
moved on to the next person while I pick.
Sounds good. Back to you, Blue.
Mm-hmm. Oh yes, it's my turn. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
What would you like to
did
do?
say something to her. Did she say anything after that?
Sorry, what was the last thing you said?
I said, "There's something I'm not seeing here. Please let me know, what happened."
You
What
feel
did you
those
do?
sort of emotional defenses getting thrown up. Like there is something that you're digging deep down to that she does not really want you to get to. It's up to you how you want to try and make her admit this or otherwise figure out exactly what it is she's hiding.
I want to use setup to help Blue, because that's
Ooh.
Perfect.
on their next turn they receive a +2 bonus to the ability test of choice. I know there's something weird going on here. There's something like super primordial magic. I know that Blue was hiding something about it too, because he immediately was like, "Oh, it's sorcery," and then lied. But they also are trying to get to the bottom of this. So I'm going to put a little bit of faith and trust in Blue and try to help them out that way. I still have 2 others, but I gave you that real quick.
Yes, lovely. Thank you so much. So yeah, Blue, you're boosted on whatever you want to do. Or rather, your fatigue is negated.
I feel as if I had some sort of ability to read people, but I don't.
There's emotion reading, I think, or heart reading, but I don't think you have that.
Oh yeah, I thought that was super evil. I was like, oh, that's invasive.
If you want, you can make another empathy test or whatever.
I think I will go for another empathy test.
Or you could do intelligence to try and rack your brain of what is it? Where was the exact point where things started to falter with her?
Yeah, I'll go for intelligence then.
Okay.
Seeing if that seems more him. Seeing if he can pin down.
This would just be straight intelligence then.
Yep.
And then no -2 to this.
So
So it's an 11, but you
with
get 3
3
stun points.
Is there really good? Oh yeah, she totally just told me. Could I do? I'm feeling kind of like new friends was a good thing. Just reiterating that we're friends. Please, I'm trying to help you as best I can. I like this. I like this angle you're taking.
You get the feeling it's been a long time since she's had a friend.
Oh.
Probably because it hurts too much to lose people.
Yeah.
With your 11, you realize you never really got the full story of what Vethra was doing at the shrine. Yeah, that's all an 11's gonna get you.
Okay. Yeah. That. Okay. I guess with that in mind, I'm gonna just straight up ask her, like, why were you there?
She kind of hesitates for a moment and then looks back to you and she says, I was helping someone. They wanted to get to the Sky Galloper shrine.
And from there, would it take an empathy test to think maybe she helped someone who was specifically the person who...
If you put things together, that's all you. You don't have to roll.
Okay. I see. You know it's not your fault. It was them. You can't be judged for the actions of others, and neither can they. People...
Sorry.
Go ahead. Oh,
the crushing guilt hits this place like a meteor. The vine creature kind of just stops for a second. There's a sort of a weight taken off of this place, but like it's being rearranged rather than just lifted off completely. Something in the air has changed, and those of you not really in tune with what's going on can't really put your finger on it. I guess, Rami, you can tell that like, oh, something to do with that magic is shifting. And yeah, you can see that Vethra she is extremely angry at herself for daring to trust somebody who ultimately brought ruin.
I guess he's just trying to like reiterate, like, you're not to blame, and this is not the way. You can't let guilt and anger control how you act. This land, it's meant to be a place of beauty and nature, not anger and hatred.
She takes a moment. Everything starts to calm down. You notice the thorns slowly receding from their unnatural length just a little bit. And she says to you, you're right about that much. These lands, for all their teeming life and complexity on the surface, ultimately we are very simple creatures. Deception and subterfuge. We Raiden are not well versed in these arts. We will always fall victim to broken trust.
Right. But it's something that we can rise above. It's our nature that allows us to see the beauty in the world and do better.
She takes a moment to listen to your words, and at this time, Rami, you're kind of just like wrapped in this thing, just sort of waiting for it to finish you off, kind of, but it is just hesitating. Meanwhile, Micah, I guess you're just poking at it extra hard, trying to make her rapier somehow work on this thing.
She takes a second to realize he doesn't have a blade, just like whack, whack, why is it not working?
Speaking of which, I used my other 2 stunt points to do the right tools to break my glass gem, so I have a shard that I can cut myself away with.
Absolutely. Make a very quick attack roll with your fighting, effectively. So the same thing you would use for your blade, anyway.
Yeah, no, I have it. My glass gem. It's my giant.
Oh,
glass
perfect.
gem.
That's right. I forgot.
It's something I can. It's my favorite.
Just
attack.
a big, gaudy bauble.
Yeah, it doesn't do much, but I'm breaking it to make a sharp point of glass.
2
is the
damage.
goal.
We want the attack roll itself, not the damage roll.
I don't know how to do that. What do you? How do I make it?
Is there a part of your sheet where it's like
Oh.
plus something to hit?
There we go.
All right, so that's a very bad roll.
It's terrible.
And you also generate stun points, which means this thing breaks. Which you already
Wonderful!
did.
Which is what I wanted from it to break. That was literally the goal, was to break it into a glass
Love it.
shard.
So you break this thing. I think it just through that impact force, like the thorns start to recede, and it kind of just withers away onto the ground near you, Micah. Vethra,
Into the tree.
yes. The owl isn't looking at you anymore. In fact, all the animals have turned and are looking at where Vethra suddenly appears from her spirit form, back in a more corporeal form. And you can see that there is, through the scar on the side of her face, there is a tear that kind of like wells into it and then drips out and falls onto the ground. And she looks at you, Blue, and psychically she says, I don't know what to do. I thought I did. I just feel very alone.
I'm sorry. You're not alone. I think if we had met on in the sanctuary, we would have been really good friends. And I think we still can be. It takes time to heal and to feel better. You've let yourself sit in rage and anger and guilt for so long.
Do you ever regret being one of the ones that survived when so many of our brethren fell bravely?
I keep a feather from one of my friends who fell very close to me. It sits in my mess every day. Every time I see it, I am filled with so much regret and sadness. But there's also a spark of hope that maybe something like that can never again, as long as we form a clear bond of unity and friendship.
Thomas, we didn't hear any of
We
that.
can't hear you. Okay, I got so scared. I was like, oh no.
That was a really nice speech, though, Gray. Just like an interjection.
Thank
That was
you.
really sweet.
Yep.
She says, I want that to be true, but I don't think it is. I will leave this place. I can't be near these folk. I just can't.
Would I know of somewhere she can go that's like safe and like maybe I'm thinking maybe with the forest folk, like she could maybe experience like people, but not like I don't know.
You can definitely like float that idea. In terms of her going somewhere to be isolated, like there are many parts of the Weald where you'll never see a single two-legged person. It's just the fact that
I don't want her to be
the
isolated.
people who were here. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, how would you like to handle it? At this point, Rami and Micah, you can start to brush yourself off. Maybe pluck out a few dozen thorns or so, and you can see that there is an exchange happening between the two Raiden. You obviously cannot hear it because it is just between them psychically.
Do we run now? Should we run? I don't know.
I'm still in a tree.
Oh, right, sorry. Here, if you could drop, yeah, I'll try to catch you. Okay.
Look, fine.
Yeah.
You better catch me in like the fun princess carry. Do not put me on the back like a bag of potatoes. That's undignified, and I won't allow it.
What's a potato again?
Sure, look good, and I jump down.
Why don't you make a very quick check?
What check is this?
Let's say it could be strength.
It could also be strength. I'm
Oh.
down. Okay. That's a 12. God.
14.
14.
Yeah, that's fine.
Math is hard.
Rabby falls daintily into your grip. And then you both start to feel a lot of pain from your wounds.
Get off! You're so heavy.
Okay. How dare you? Every campaign you call my character heavy, Cindy.
Oh dear.
You see that this utter silliness that is happening in the background, Vethra does kind of look over to regard it, and she says, "You're obviously quite close to them."
I've learned to be. They're very good people. I've seen them do such great things. I'd never thought that I'd be able to live amongst them so easily, but I've actually taken to it better than I've ever would have thought.
Would you ever develop a bond between them? Or
Oh,
one
dear.
of them, I suppose.
I don't think so.
It's a cruel trick that the Primordials play on us, that we get so bonded to these folk, and they can hurt us so badly.
I guess you could see it in two different ways. Yes, we get bonded and they can hurt us, or like it's meant to be. Creating that bond is something so deep and sacred that it can be looked at as a gift. It lets us know that there are people out there who are worth bonding with.
Make a persuasion test. Wow. Damn, son. Plus 6 stump points. That's a total of what? 17?
Yeah. No, wait. Okay, -2. So it's just 2 6s and a 5. Yeah, 17.
Okay. You can see that there is a glimmer of hope ignited in Vethra's eyes, and it's probably not something she has allowed herself to feel for a very, very, very long time.
I think I will also use those stunt points to do the exciting opportunities in a way that says, like, in the future, there's certainly more room for us to talk and strengthen our bond, as well as try and, let people in. It doesn't have to be people. It could be like more Raiden, just like, don't isolate yourself. Let's get out there and be cool.
She says, "I will keep in touch then."
Sounds like a plan.
And begins to stalk away from this place.
Actually, one more thing. I'm so sorry. I totally am okay with that hunter being a cat for this life, but the rest of the village.
She says, "I've seemed to have lost something that connected me to this place. I don't think any of them are the same anymore."
Okay. Till next time.
I suppose so. And again, she stalks off.
Yes. Okay. I'll flutter back over to the group. Are you two okay?
Ow. Yeah, no, we're good. Don't worry about it. Are you okay? You guys were, I don't know where you ran off to, so.
I was just talking to her. I'm fine. Thank you.
Okay.
That wasn't sorcery. None of that was sorcery at all. This pillar. It's ancient.
I think. Sorry, based on your roles, Rami.
I don't know a lot, but I know it's not sorcerer, and I know it's like an ancient primordial magic-y thingy. That's what I got.
Yes. Making any connection to like the pillar at all is
not the pillar.
Didn't
just
happen.
The area.
Just the area, yeah.
Okay, so I know that there's an ancient magical thing going on. Because I was checking out the area, and I thought you said pillar at one point, but okay, my bad.
Sorry, if I did, I didn't mean to.
No, okay. That was some ancient magic, things that I didn't know people could just tap those. Blue, you knew it wasn't sorcery from the start. How?
I had a guess that it wasn't sorcery, and I was right. It turns out the power here is very deep and sacred to my people, and if I could ask both of you to just not mention this place, just bury it deep within whatever.
So it wasn't from the cat. What?
Oh darn, I didn't think I could lead you to believe it was from the cat.
Oh, you didn't lead you Gray or Blue. We're gonna have a conversation on how to lie better because you're terrible at this. You're just admitting to me that you would be willing to lie to me about this if you could. And that proves you have even more information on it. You're awful at this, Fred.
Remy,
honestly, I would just prefer for this everything here to just be forgotten if you can.
Sure. I mean, what are friends for? So
Take conviction, Blue.
Thank you.
That's what friends do.
Take another point as well.
2?
Of course I'll forget everything here.
Really?
So good, I can't even argue. Oh god.
That's what, 40, 80, 20, that's 9 possible lie you just did. So good job.
She basically just told the truth.
Again, where am I meant to go from here if you're rolling like this for very mundane things at level 2?
Lying is the only thing I made my character to be good at lying and lying alone. In this fight, I threw a sword and then distracted it.
Yeah.
Let's just get out of here.
Yeah.
So it's fair to say, yeah, Blue, you have tapped into some knowledge that is extremely potent and very powerful. The kind of thing that you yourself could potentially try and investigate and try and use at some point if you wanted to. You also, Rami seemed to be gleaning some kind of insight into that, but she said she would forget about it, so that's good. And she was certainly sincere, so no worries there. As long as as long as you can trust these two legs, then there shouldn't be a problem. So that's fine.
And I just convinced an entirely different writing that these are people I can totally trust. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
The rest of you limp back towards the village of Kaor, and you return to see that the entire village has been retransformed back into their former selves. You find Val and Ricard. Ricard is covered in cat scratches. And he looks like he's not got hair out of place. And he's just being stoic about it. The town is utterly confused. They were very much grilling Val and Ricard, and between the two of them in their current states, they weren't the most helpful source of information. So you are obviously grilled as well.
Mm-hmm.
And the matter that is left to attend to is what do you do with the hunter? But that is something we're going to figure out next time. And we'll end there for tonight.
Wow. Nice.
This is a.
That was so intense.
That was an intense one to come back to.
So
Thank you, everybody who stuck around. I hope
Yeah.
you enjoyed our new tale from Miniry. We will be back next week with another one, so I hope you tune in then. I hope y'all had fun.
Yes.
I know I certainly did. Some amazing roleplay that happened today, and I'm very proud of everybody.
Thomas, you killed it. Like, absolutely, 100%. You guys were so good.
You are far, far too kind. Our music is by Windswept. It is spelled Vindswept. Please check them out. They have some amazing stuff. If you're studying, if you've got your own RPG campaigns, like truly beautiful music. Does anybody else want to plug anything before we say goodnight? And
Artist.
Yes, we have new lovely character art. You can see a preview of it for Val. We will have the rest of it by next week. Check them out. Where can people find this artist?
Dark Age Doodle on Tumblr. Tumblr
Sorry, one more
is
time.
one.
Yes.
Dark Age Doodles on Tumblr, and I am following them on Twitter, but I'll get that to you next time. This time it's just Dark Age Doodlers on Tumblr.
Yes. Please join the Chromatic Chimera Discord. You can come hang out, chat with us if you would like, discuss Miniry and its characters and its mysteries and its the horrible things I do to people for the sake of entertainment.
Yes.
Yeah, that's about it. Any last departing thoughts from anybody?
And go check out Heavy Mecha, which is starting in what, another half hour or
30
something?
minutes?
In a half hour on this channel, stay tuned for a new awesome episode of Heavy Mecha. Yeah,
It's gonna be incredible.
it'll be a nice palate cleanser from whatever we just did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
From the thorns and the betrayal and the all that stuff.
Guilt.
Actually, I can't speak with
emotional
any kind
trauma.
of certainty on that. There might be plenty of thorns and betrayal in this next episode of Heavy Mecha.
That's true. That's true. Let us know if that's the case.
Listen, you got to find out.
Yeah.
All right. For me, it is good night because I'm in a time zone where it's time for me to go to sleep.
Okay.
Good morning
Good night.
from afternoon
Yes.
from my time
Good morning.
zone.
Have a nice
Thank you all
day
for
or
watching.
night.
Okay, bye.
Catch you
thanks.
next week.